Chapter 282. In the Woodleaf Ninja Village, in the box of a themed cake shop, Hinata and Xia sat together, watching the movie The Last Swordswoman through the window. It was Canon Chiba's movie. Xia's themed cake shop had been broadcasting this for the past few days, and it was very popular. The story of the movie was the rise of the ninja, the decline of the samurai, and the story of the heroine who inherited the family's swordsmanship still insisted on the spirit of the samurai. Because the heroine was beautiful, her swordsmanship was cool, and the theme was determined, so it won a lot of praise. Hana-san is so amazing. After the movie ended, Hinata became a fan. Xia said with some regret, "It's a pity that the enemies are all faking their deaths, and the swordsmanship is only a frame, otherwise the effect would be even more shocking." Hinata's expression froze for an instant. Xia-san, I want to ask you something. If I become the head of the Hyuga clan, then can I help Naruto-kun in the future? Xia shook her head without hesitation and said, "In that case, you may never be able to be together." Hinata was shocked and quickly asked, "Why?" Xia asked, "What is the responsibility of the head of the Hyuga clan?" She turned back and replied, "Protect the clan?" Xia continued to look at Hinata. Hinata thought for a moment and said again, "Inheritance. Bloodline limit." Xia smiled slightly. "It seems that you are not too stupid. Since the responsibility of the head of the clan is to inherit the bloodline limit, then if you are the head of the clan, then your other half must be a member of the Hyuga clan." Hinata's face was lost. These days, she had been thinking about how to help Naruto. When Kakashi came to take Naruto away that day, she felt that something was wrong. Because Kakashi, Sensei's expression was very serious, and he didn't even enter the door. That kind of Kakashi, Sensei was very strange. She wanted to stop Naruto. She had a hunch that if Naruto and Naruto-kun, Sensei left, something bad would happen later. But she found that she could not stop it. Because it was a big shot from Woodleaf that was looking for Naruto, and she was just a small genin. Then, the big shot wanted to extract the 9 tails from Naruto's body. Naruto had told her that if the human Pillar Force's tailed beast was extracted, the human Pillar Force would die. This time, she still couldn't stop it. In the end, Naruto wanted to leave Woodleaf. She couldn't stop him either. Feeling disappointed, unwilling, and helpless, Hinata made up her mind to do something to help Naruto. So she decided to cancel her ninja registration. This was because she discovered that even someone as powerful as Kakashi had to listen to the orders of his superiors. This way, he couldn't help Naruto at all. She wanted more power, so she thought of the Hyuga clan's patriarch position. But, now it seems that even the patriarch of the Hyuga clan can't do it. Then what should I do? Natsuya Sakuragi smiled and said, "You're in Woodleaf, and the only sky you see is Woodleaf. Only when you go out and stand on another side can you see a wider sky. Of course, a wider sky also means more danger. If it's a sparrow, after leaving the group, only death awaits it under an unfamiliar sky. Only an eagle can fight the sky." After saying this, Xia laughed and said, "The above is a modified version of what the store manager said. I hope it will help you." Hinata pointed to herself and said, "Then I am..." Xia raised her hand and touched Hinata's head, and said affirmatively, "Sparrow." Hinata. To be honest, for a moment, Hinata felt her blood boil. She remembered that Sister Xia once invited her to join an organization. She thought, Sister Xia would say that she was an eagle. Her heart hurt. And it hurt. Because she knew that Xia was telling the truth. At this time, Xia spoke again, but when the store manager said these words, Milady refuted something very interesting. Milady said that if a person's will to protect another person is strong enough, even a sparrow can become an eagle, and it can be the fiercest eagle. Protect another person's will? Hinata felt her blood ignite again. She wanted to protect Naruto, so she could also become an eagle? Hinata was moved and said, "Thank you, Sister Xia. So that's what you think." However, Xia shook her head. "This is Milady's idea, not mine. I'm very curious about this sentence, so I wanted to verify it." I definitely didn't want to verify Milady's words before I thought of letting you fight the sky." Xia suddenly became serious. I let you join that organization because you are very talented. Hinata's face was full of curses. She complained in her heart, the talent of a sparrow? Xia continued to encourage her. Believe me, with your talent, you will definitely transform. Hinata's little face was dark, and she felt that there was no love in the whole world. She secretly criticized, it's still the talent of a sparrow. An eagle doesn't need to transform at all. There's sadness. But overall, one thing was certain. It seemed that she really couldn't help Naruto in Woodleaf. Whether it was the path of a ninja or becoming the head of the Hyuga clan, it was impossible. Sister Xia. Then what about staying by Naruto's side? Xia continued to rub Hinata's head and said, even if you are by his side, what can you do? You can't even warm his bed when your body hasn't even grown yet. Hinata was speechless. Can't warm his bed? What a shameful MMP. Then, the only way was to join the underground trading house. By the way, Sister Xia, you said last time that Sister Hanoin would like Naruto. Is that true? Naruto is now in Snow Country. That Sister Hanane's second movie is also in Snow Country, if they meet. Xia continued to smile cutely. Last time, I lied to you because my sister and I read a very interesting novel, and then, we used the words in it. Huh? Hinata was dumbfounded. Then, Xia quietly leaned over to Hinata's ear and said, this is Milady's secret, I will only tell you, you are not allowed to tell anyone else. Actually, Milady only likes beautiful girls, so if you meet Milady one day, she might like you. Bam! Hinata's brain completely short-circuited. That night, Hinata lay in bed for a long time, unable to fall asleep. She didn't agree to Xia's proposal on the spot. She needed to be alone and organize her thoughts. In the spiritual network, Hinata said, Naruto-kun. I have cancelled my ninja registration. At this moment, Naruto was connected to the laboratory with Guru and the others. This was a technology obtained from Snow Country, a type of chakra generator that could convert chakra into electricity. Naruto asked for 3 sets, 2 of which were interconnected to ensure that there would be no interruptions in the circuit. After all, once the cloning culture tank was used, the electricity couldn't be cut off, otherwise, it would affect the temperature, oxygen concentration, and other parameters, resulting in the death of the life forms cultivated inside. The 3rd set was to be dismantled for research purposes. It was worth mentioning that Snow Country had many interesting technologies, such as the chakra geothermal instrument and the chakra production device, both of which were very interesting research projects. That's good, then you can rest at home and wait for me to pick you up. Hinata stretched out her legs from under the blanket, and after changing into a more comfortable position, she said, Naruto-kun. I want to run away from home. What? Run away from home? Could it be that Hinata wanted to come to him? Naruto's heart was instantly filled with joy. P.S. Woodleaf strength above all, normal group, 627576058. Password, Zhao Jun, simplified Chinese. P.S. Woodleaf strength above all, subscription group, 417372683. There are a lot of red packets today, thank you for your support, there are fewer people but more money. Chapter 283. There was a saying that the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. There was also a saying that a single thought could lead to heaven or hell. Just a second ago, when he heard that Hinata was going to run away from home, Naruto felt as if he had seen a ray of light. An incomparably sacred light. It was as if his body was as light as a swallow, and he could leap up and stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. However, when Hinata said that it was not his place, Naruto almost sprained his waist. Naruto was dumbfounded. He quickly asked in the spiritual network, "It's not my place? Then where are you going? Do you know anyone else besides me?" Naruto could not help but think that it was a bad place. Could it be the moon? Did the guy on the moon come down? Hinata replied, "I'm not too sure either." Fortunately, Summer explained, "I want Hinata to go to the underground exchange to gain experience." The underground exchange. Hearing this familiar name, Naruto could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. No matter what, it was on the ground. He could reach it. and he was not afraid that Hinata would run away. Sister Xia, aren't you being too biased? You didn't even arrange a place for me. Natsuya Sakuragi said matter-of-factly, because you have your own plans and goals, unlike Hinata who has no choice at all. Hinata had no choice? Naruto did not agree with that. He immediately said, "You can come to my place. I'm about to finish the renovation. Tomorrow, Little Gunny will liquefy the steel and paste a layer of it on the inside of the mountain. The renovation will be mostly complete. Then, there's the procurement of resources. I'm good here, really. By the way, although it's not cold inside now, when I finish installing the geothermal the day after tomorrow, the temperature will not be a problem. How about it? Hinata, come to my place." Hinata hesitated. She really wanted to be with Naruto. Naruto added, "Also, if you come to my place, you don't have to be in a hurry. I can summon you directly. How convenient is that?" Hinata could not make up her mind. She asked Natsuya Sakuragi for help. "Sister Xia, you see." Xia smiled and said, "You can decide for yourself." Not long ago, Hinata thought that Natsuya Sakuragi was the devil. But as they studied and researched together every day, they had unknowingly become close friends. Naruto was very anxious. When he was anxious, he would easily make mistakes. This time was no exception. "Sister Xia," Xia said. "Sister Xia," Xia said. "Sister Xia," Natsuya Sakuragi said. "Can I?" Naruto hurriedly replied. "Yes." No problem," Xia nodded. "All right, since Naruto-kun said that I can make the decision, Hinata, you should go to the underground market. Really, under Naruto's meticulous care, a stupid sparrow like you will never become an eagle." Naruto almost spat out his liver. He had asked Natsuya Sakuragi to come up with the idea to help him. Who asked him to push her away? Naruto felt like there were tens of thousands of groundhogs screaming in his heart. Traitor. Naruto was about to cry. "Sister Xia, you can't be like this. Where did the smart, lively, and cute Sister Xia go? Give her back to me." Xia said innocently, "You said that I can come up with ideas." Naruto really wanted to smash himself to death with a brick. Since Xia could not get any help, Naruto turned to Hinata and said, "Although I don't know what kind of place the underground market is, it's definitely a place where people are eaten without spitting out the bones. Are you sure you want to go?" Hinata was nervous when she heard that. To be honest, facing the unknown sky, a little sparrow like her was very confused and scared. But Hinata told herself that she could not embarrass herself in front of Naruto. So what if people are eaten without spitting out the bones? "I'm not afraid," she said. "I want to go." What was this called? It was a classic example of the wrong use of reverse psychology. Hinata, who also said that she wanted to go, was also confused. Who am I? Where am I? What am I going to do? She had no idea. Hinata's eyes were blank. She was completely confused. Xia comforted Naruto. Although the underground market is not very peaceful, with the summoning card, Hinata won't be in any real danger. Because even if she is in danger, she can summon others to help her. Even if she calls for help, she can be summoned away. That was true. Naruto's nervous heart relaxed a lot. But he felt that it was safer to have Hinata by his side. "Hinata, your decision is..." Hinata did not respond. Naruto took out the card and looked at it. The symbol corresponding to Hinata on the card was gone, which meant that Hinata went offline. Naruto's stomach started to hurt. At this moment, he really wanted to run back to Woodleaf. That night, Naruto connected all the cables. Then, he injected chakra into Chakra's generator. The generator started to operate and the motor started to hum. Then, there were sounds of dang, dang, dang. One by one, the lights lit up. Beep, beep, beep. The experiment equipment started to operate. It was a success. Fortunately, this generator was equipped with a battery that could store most of the electricity. This way, Naruto did not have to keep transferring chakra to it. However, this could only be maintained for a while. The correct operation was to connect the automatic chakra processing machine to it. That way, there would be no worries. However, that thing was said to be difficult to get. Snow Nation did not have it ready, so it would take some time before it could be delivered. The laboratory lit up. Naruto activated the backup generator. After making sure that the cables would not break because of one of them, Naruto instructed Pharmacist, "I'll leave the sterilization work to you. Also, prepare the experiment equipment as soon as possible. We'll start work tomorrow and try to cultivate the limbs of Guru and the others as soon as possible." Then, Pharmacist got busy. At this time, Naruto picked up the card again and looked at it. Hinata was still offline. Unlucky girl, who did she learn to go offline from? In the spiritual network. "Sister Xia, are you there?" Xia replied, "Yes, I'm taking a bath at Hushuan." You don't have to tell me that you're taking a bath. Sister Xia, is Hinata alright?" Xia closed her eyes and sensed for a moment. She should be fine. The silly girl is sitting on the windowsill looking at the moon. Looking at the moon? Of all things, why did she have to look at the moon? What if she seduced the one on the moon? Naruto was very worried. The next day, Hinata finally came online. She gave Naruto a definite answer. "Naruto-kun, I've thought about it seriously. I want to try going to the underground market." "Have you made your decision?" Naruto pondered for a moment. "Since you've made your decision, then go. However, no matter what difficulties or dangers you encounter, inform me immediately." Hinata, okay. Naruto added, "Also, don't suddenly go offline." Hinata explained, "Yesterday, I went offline after taking a bath." Naruto roared, "Damn girl, where did you learn to lie? Your sister Xia told me that you were sitting on the windowsill looking at the moon. What's so nice about the moon? It's just a smooth ball." Hinata hurriedly explained, "I did take a bath before looking at the moon. Then I was thinking about other things and forgot to connect." "So that's the case." Naruto's anger subsided. "Just tell me what you're doing when you're not online." Hinata hurriedly nodded. Okay. However, she felt very guilty because she had taken a bath before going to bed last night. She told a small lie. That, "Sister Xia, please don't report me." Hinata's matter came to an end. Big Fatty complained, "Boss, I've been waiting for so long. When are you going to summon me?" Naruto then remembered that he had forgotten about Big Fatty. It wasn't his fault. Big Fatty hadn't come online for the past few days, saying that he was focused on his research. Right. Apart from Big Fatty, he felt like he had forgotten something else. Sakura Haruno. F***CK. That girl is still sleeping in Orochimaru's laboratory number 7. Hibernating for 2 months shouldn't be a problem, right? It shouldn't be a problem. I hope it's not a problem. P.S. Wood leaf strength is supreme, normal group. 627576058. Entry password. Zhao Jun, simplified Chinese. P.S. Wood leaf strength is supreme, full subscription group. 417372683. 20 plus full subscriptions unlocked 2 red packets. Chapter 284. Time passed quickly, and another month passed in the blink of an eye. During this month, Sakura Haruno, who was skinny because of hibernation for 2 months, gradually gained weight. After leaving a letter to her father, Hinata successfully ran away from home with the help of Xia. For Hinata's running away from home, Woodleaf didn't make much of a fuss because Hinata had already been removed from the ninja registry. If she wasn't a traitor, she wouldn't be arrested. And the Hyuga clan didn't make much of a fuss. Hyuga Hayashi found another reason, saying that Hinata was sent out of Woodleaf to relax. No one delved into it, so it was left unsettled. And in Woodleaf Ninja Village, through this month of construction, the scars left by Nine Tails were erased little by little. The only thing that wasn't erased was the scars left in people's hearts. For example, Hataki, that Kakashi. Kakashi Hataki was surprisingly stubborn this time. He was beaten by Jiraiya for a month, and he didn't relent. The two were at odds with each other. In the beginning, Kakashi was just passively beaten, but later on, he became angry, and the two became more cheerful. As a result, Kakashi made great progress in taijutsu, ninjutsu, the newly developed mist release, Kekkei Genkai, and Genjutsu. Jiraiya saw this progress, so he attacked more vigorously. It could be seen that Jiraiya was determined to beat up Naruto. Snow Country, Great Snow Mountain Laboratory. At this time, Naruto had just demonstrated the finished product of the first-generation virtual reality glasses to Snow. The function of the first-generation virtual reality glasses was impeccable, and the movie picture was unprecedentedly clear. Coupled with the sensory nerve connection signal of the movie, it allowed the audience to personally feel the environmental information experienced by the protagonist of the movie. It could be said that this was a very good product. There was also a flaw, which was that the three-dimensional character imaging technology wasn't successful yet. After experiencing The Last Swordswoman's cinematic behind-the-scenes, which had been processed using first-generation virtual reality technology, Fenghua Snow was still in a state of shock when she took off her glasses. "You really made this thing in a month. It's really a miracle." Naruto waved his hand. "This is nothing. If the second-generation technology is successful, it will be a real visual feast." Snow said confidently, "I believe that we will see it in the near future." Naruto grinned. "To tell you the truth, I already have some ideas. I just need to integrate the principle of Genjutsu. Give me another month, 2 months at most." Then, the two of them talked about their specific confidentiality work. There were 2 types of confidentiality. One was the client, which was the glasses. On this aspect of the glasses, the of the swordsman, the glasses, of the movie location. When the Ises, the sufs would be of the Ises of the ice. Originally, Naruto wanted to make a psychic seal so that the glasses would automatically return after a certain distance. However, the amount of chakra consumed was not proportional to the workmanship of the glasses, so it was changed to self-destruction. The second type of confidentiality was the server that linked the glasses to the client. The server of the virtual reality glasses was in Naruto's Snow Mountain, so it was very safe. After all, Naruto was confident that he could even kill a Kaga-level monster with his Snow Mountain. The content of the confidentiality discussion was very simple. The coordinate device had to be placed separately from the client, and it had to be in a safe location. Secondly, the glasses had to be taken back strictly. After all, Naruto didn't want to have to make another pair of glasses every time a movie was shown. It was very troublesome. Before Snow left, she couldn't help but ask again, "You really want me to promote this thing? You don't want to see that director?" Naruto asked back, "Do you want that director to die quickly?" Fenghua Shui was taken aback, and immediately replied, "Of course not." Naruto said with certainty, "Then don't let him see me." Windflower Snow shrugged and left, feeling bored. After Snow Queen left, Naruto asked Hinata in the spiritual network as usual, "Miss Hinata, did anything interesting happen today?" Under the guidance of Natsuya Sakuragi, Hinata had been in the underground market for more than 2 weeks. In the past 2 weeks, Hinata had to report 3 times a day, in the morning, at noon, and at night. In the reports, Naruto gradually understood the system of the underground market. It was a system that a rookie like Hinata could come into contact with. First of all, most people in the underground market wore masks. At the beginning, they wore simple masks, and after joining a mercenary group, they changed into the group's uniform mask. The funny thing was that the mercenary group that Hinata joined was called the Clown Emperor, and the mask was naturally a clown. It was white with black patterns on a white background. To be honest, it was a little strange. Naruto and Hinata shared vision to see it once. As for the rest, it was the mercenaries' hierarchy. Legend has it that there were a total of 5 levels, from 1 star to 5 stars. But in reality, mercenaries could only come into contact with 1 to 3 stars. 4 stars was the highest manager in the area, 5 stars was a legend. But with the information that Naruto knew, 5 stars were probably in the hands of the daimyos of the 5 major countries. And the Clown Emperor that Hinata joined was just a 1-star mercenary group at the bottom, and now it was working hard to reach 2 stars. Naruto asked in the spiritual network, and Hinata quickly replied, "There's nothing interesting today, because I can't even do Chakra's nature transformation properly, so my sister is teaching me the fire element Chakra's nature transformation." Chakra's nature transformation? Didn't the Hyuga clan pursue the pinnacle of martial arts, and didn't need Chakra's nature transformation? Are you sure you want to learn the fire element Chakra's nature transformation? Naruto knew that Hinata had the fire element Chakra's nature transformation talent. At that time, the store manager's old shop was still around. Naruto remembered that before the Wave Country mission, he bought a chakra test paper for Hinata to play with. However, he remembered that the store manager had taught him not to lead Hinata astray, because other than the branch family members who didn't inherit the Byakugan talent, the rest of the Hyuga clan didn't spend their energy on Chakra's nature transformation at all. They were all obsessed with taijutsu to reach the pinnacle of taijutsu. Hinata replied, yes, I'm sure," Sister Xia said. Before Hinata could finish, Xia coughed and interrupted. So Hinata's words became, "Sister Xia said to keep it a secret." Naruto's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but ask Xia, "Sister Xia, what's a secret for me?" Xia replied, "This is a girl's secret. What did the Hyuga clan cultivating the fire element Chakra's nature transformation have to do with a girl's secret?" Naruto felt his liver hurt. Xia said mischievously, "Anyway, you'll know when the time comes." At the temporary residence of the Clown Emperor, Hinata stood in front of a mirror wearing the Clown Emperor's standard mask. In the mirror, Hinata's hand, which was covered with curse seals, was floating with a red flame. After Hinata confirmed that she wanted to join the underground exchange to train herself, Haru Sakuratani awakened the curse seal on Hinata's body. This curse seal was said to have originated from Haru Sakuratani's blood. The sisters told her that what she had to do was to master it. "Why can't I tell Naruto-kun? I really want to tell Naruto-kun all the new things I've learned." Hinata pouted, but because of the mask on her face, this cute expression was destined not to be seen by anyone. Chapter 285. Naruto's research was in full swing. At the same time, his personal strength did not fall behind. What was worth celebrating was that Naruto's 2 new bloodline limits, be it magnetic release or wood release, were both related to the earth element. Magnetic release was a fusion of the wind and earth elements. Wood release was a fusion of the water and earth elements. Chakra had already learned how to change the nature of the wind and water elements when she practiced ice release. In other words, as long as he mastered the earth element, Naruto would be able to use the 2 bloodline limits very quickly. On this day, the sun shone brightly on the snowy mountain. Although it did not bring much warmth, it was very bright. The second floor of the Great Snowy Mountain Research Institute. According to Naruto's division of the Great Snowy Mountain, there were 2 entrances. One was built on the first floor. On the outside, there was a slanted passage halfway up the mountain. The other was a pass at the top of the mountain that was sealed with ice. The entrance at the bottom was used for daily travel. The entrance at the top was used for moving large amounts of materials and landing airships. Therefore, the 11th floor was used as a special airfield for airships. The 10th floor below the 11th floor was a buffer zone in the middle. On the 9th floor, the conference hall was supported by 12 6-meter-thick steel pillars. Of course, the 6-meter-thick steel pillars were not solid. To be precise, the pillars were made of rocks from the mountain. On the outside, Naruto had Little Gunny wrap it with a layer of steel that was half a meter thick. The 8th and 7th floors were the living area. The 7th floor was the living area and the 8th floor was the kitchen. The kitchen was not complete yet, but Nine Tails strongly requested that the cooking utensils for pastries be the most complete. However, awkwardly, none of them were good at cooking pastries. Therefore, Nine Tails was a little sulky these days. Several times, he asked Naruto to invite Xia and Chun over, but Naruto refused, saying that the laboratory wasn't fully built yet, and that he would invite Xia and Chun to visit when the construction was completed. The 2nd to 5th floors were the research area. The 5th floor was the assembly of the finished products. The 2nd to 4th floors were the division before the assembly. The 1st floor was empty. In Naruto's words, the 1st and 10th floors could be used as garages in the future. Overall, the development of the stone pillar in the middle of the mountain was close to completion. If they wanted to expand it, they would have to work on the mountain. After all, the hollowed-out mountain was only a very small cylindrical area in the middle of the mountain. For a mountain that was 2,000 meters above sea level, there was still a lot of room for expansion. On the 2nd floor of the Great Snow Mountain Laboratory, in an area where the steel plate had been removed, Naruto was buried in the ground like a big radish. This was Naruto's idea of letting his body familiarize with the earth attribute as soon as possible. Little Gunny injected high-density earth chakra into the rock formation where Naruto was planted, and Naruto was stimulated by the earth chakra. It was worth mentioning that the butterfly shiitake mushroom was also happily taking root beside Naruto. Obviously, he was enjoying the nourishment of the earth element chakra. On the workbench not far from Naruto on the ground, Naruto had merged with his doppelganger using spiritualization and was doing research with the girls. There was an advantage to using spiritualization, which was that the main consciousness was with the doppelganger. That way, he would not feel like he was buried in the ground. As for Spirit Link, the main consciousness was remotely controlled by the main body. This was a difference that Naruto had only recently discovered. Naruto was very engrossed in his research. Little Gunny was sending chakra into the ground while fiddling with the parts in his hands. He pouted and seemed like he wanted to say something but stopped himself. Time ticked by, and in the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Little Gunny was pouting more and more. In the end, he could not help but say, "Big brother Naruto, if you don't want to cultivate, you can tell me. You don't have to keep a doppelganger in the ground. It's very tiring to keep sending chakra." Naruto's doppelganger looked up and asked in confusion, "What did you say?" Little Gunny pouted and pouted. "Nothing." Naruto continued his research in confusion. Another half an hour had passed. A sneaky Naruto sneaked back to the area where the rock was exposed. Little Gunny stared at him angrily and the doppelganger that took over Naruto's body disappeared. "Is this really Naruto?" Little Gunny thought it was Naruto, but it was actually Nine Tails. As Naruto used spiritualization more and more, one day, Nine Tails suddenly realized that after Naruto's spirit left his body, he could control Naruto's body. Therefore, when Naruto was not paying attention, Nine Tails would secretly control Naruto's body to do things that he wanted to do. For example, he would go to the 8th level to cook a cake. Nine Tails was so bored that he almost went crazy. He really wanted to eat pastries, so he decided to do it himself. Originally, he could not hide the fact that he controlled Naruto's body to sneak away. However, Nine Tails realized that Naruto was very serious when he entered his research state. He was so serious that he did not know what was going on under the research table. Therefore, Nine Tails came up with a little idea. The doppelganger was also Nine Tails' work. Naruto was focused on his research. Nine Tails was thinking about the shortcomings of the pastries he made today. I seem to have put too much sugar. I have not grasped the proportion of starch properly. I need to continue exploring. Right, I don't have much flour left. I have to think of a way to pretend to be Naruto and ask Gunny and the others to buy a few more bags. When he thought about cooking pastries, Nine Tails could not help but think of Natsuya Sakuragi. How good would it be if he could ask the little girl now? However, the spiritual network had not been optimized yet. If he directly asked Xia in the spiritual network, others would be able to hear him and his little hobby would be exposed. SK, I have to think of a way to upgrade Naruto's spiritual network. In the sealed space, Nine Tails touched his chin and seriously thought about countermeasures. Naruto continued his research until the alarm went off. It was the time Sakura Haruno had set for cooking. When the alarm went off, Sakura Haruno quit her research and went to the kitchen on the 8th level with Gunny. When the two of them reached the kitchen, they were panting. Sakura Haruno complained, "Even the kitchen of a daimyo can't be so far away from the dining area." Gunny nodded and said, "This is definitely the furthest kitchen in the world." From the 1st level to the 10th level, there was a level every 100 meters. They had calculated and excavated the area so that it would not affect the weight of the building. Each level was represented by a cross-shaped passage that was connected to the mountain passage on the inside of the mountain. Sakura Haruno took a few deep breaths and said longingly, "It would be great if the teleportation array could really be developed." The teleportation array was something that Naruto had imagined based on the art of communication. However, the current problem was that the requirements for the array base were very strict. The results of the art of communication used people as spatial coordinates. This was also the reason why blood was used. To be more precise, part of the soul power fused with blood was used, as well as the corresponding soul power of the soul. Therefore, the array base had to be a living being or an object that could replace a living being to contain a soul. Gunny also sighed and said, "But the problem of the array base is not easy to solve. Why don't we tie eldest senior brother here? Tie eldest senior brother up. Then in the future, if they encountered something they didn't know how to do, they would have to run into a wall." That was absolutely unacceptable. Both of them realized this and shook their heads. However, Sakura Haruno's eyes lit up. "But if the rolling snake is shameless..." The two of them looked at each other and laughed without conscience. They walked into the kitchen and wrinkled their noses. It was the aroma of pastries. The two of them sniffed and finally found the oven. Sakura Haruno pointed at the oven and said, "Did you use it?" Gunny shook his head. Sakura Haruno thought of something and said uncertainly, "Naruto has been acting so sneakily these past few days. Could it be?" Gunny also nodded. "Maybe Naruto wants to practice his skills and give us a surprise when the time comes?" "Is that so?" Sakura Haruno giggled and said, "Then we'll just pretend that we didn't see anything?" Gunny nodded and said, Yes, we'll pretend that we didn't see anything." The two of them suddenly reached a consensus. Chapter 286. In the Spiritual Network. Naruto greeted Hinata as usual. "Good morning, my little princess. Have you eaten?" 6:50 a.m. Hinata yawned cutely and said, "I just woke up." Naruto asked, Don't you usually wake up at this time?" In the simple bedroom, Hinata opened her eyes in a daze. At this time, Hinata was not wearing the clown emperor mask. Her little face with a little baby fat bounced as she smacked her lips. It was very cute. She mumbled in her sleep, "Because I cultivated very late last night." Early in the morning, Hinata and Naruto were so lovey-dovey that the other people in the spiritual network were forced to eat a mouthful of dog food. Nine Tails suddenly had an idea. Why not take this opportunity to let little Ming upgrade the spiritual network? "Naruto, you're delaying everyone's rest and mental health. You should hurry up and upgrade the spiritual network. Like you said, private chat. Otherwise, it'll be very noisy." Was Nine Tails complaining that the dog food was not tasty? Several generations of Jinchuriki had entered the bridal chamber, and it had endured it. This dog food was nothing for an experienced fox like him. He just wanted to take the opportunity to let Naruto upgrade the spiritual network. Then, he could secretly ask Xia Xiaoluo for advice on how to cook top-notch pastries. For Nine Tails, public displays of affection were not even comparable to the corner of a dessert. Enjoying delicious food was the real deal. Everything else was crooked. Nine Tails did not ask this question through the private line between him and Naruto. Instead, he complained in the spiritual network. Hinata heard it and was embarrassed. Bam! She instantly turned into steam. She apologized guiltily. I'm sorry," Gurney then complained. "I haven't slept for a month." "I slept until I woke up naturally," Naruto replied. "Then you can go offline." "If I go offline, I won't be able to hear Master's summons. What if Master uses the secret signal we set up in the middle of the night to call me?" At night? Secret signal? Bullshit. Naruto's face darkened. In order to prevent the misunderstanding from spreading, he sternly declared, "Bullshit. My clothes are clean, my shoulders are bright like the moon, and my sleeves are clean like the wind. Don't you dare slander me." Guni's acting skills kicked in. Oh. How could I have spilled the beans? No, there really wasn't a secret code. I was just babbling nonsense just now. Naturally, no one took Gurney's words seriously. Big Gunny said seriously, "It's time to level up. We don't mind, but little Gunny is still young. We'll lead her astray." Little Guinea quickly replied, "No, I've always been a good kid." Big Gunny exposed him. "Good kid? Aren't you ashamed to say that? What were you planning to do when Naruto fell asleep in the living room?" "What? I don't know what you're talking about. You're so weird. I'm going to ignore you guys. I still want to sleep." Little Gunny snuck away. Everyone was noisy. Naruto pondered for a moment. Looks like it's time to level up. But Hinata and Sister Xia aren't around. Ninetales quickly answered, "That's easy. When the new cards are ready, we'll find a time to summon everyone here. Then, we'll replace them with new cards and send them back. After all, the spatial tunnel closes very slowly. We'll be able to send them back within a day." Naruto was taken aback. This was a good idea. However, this was the first time that Naruto knew that the spatial tunnel could last for a day. He couldn't help but confirm, "The spatial tunnel can last for a day?" Ninetales crossed his arms and said, "If we increase Chakra's output and open up a more stable spatial tunnel, it can last for a longer time." Naruto nodded as he was taught. But why was Ninetales suddenly so active today? He went over to ask what they wanted, but there were no pastries. Could it be that the dog food was too disgusting? Naruto was a little puzzled, but he didn't think too much about it. That day, under the influence of Ninetales' various complaints, the second-generation virtual reality technology that was supposed to be studied had to be put aside for the time being and changed to upgrading the spiritual network. Naruto was very dissatisfied with the sudden disruption of the rhythm. He proposed that if the spiritual network was upgraded, the idea of building a unified server database would also be implemented. Ninetales would be responsible for maintaining the normal operation of the server before the server's energy problem was solved. He thought that by making this request, Ninetales would take a step back and not be so indecisive. However, Ninetales actually agreed. On the same day, the Snow Nation Virtual Reality Cinema opened for the first time. For the first time, a cinema without film was released to the public. One could imagine how big a sensation it caused. There were 3 shows in a row, and there were no empty seats. Many people even watched it once and wanted to watch it again. Among them was the director. After the 3rd showing of the movie, the director took off the mirror and exclaimed, "This technology is really amazing. Even after watching it 3 times, I still can't suppress the excitement in my heart. The cold wind, the change in temperature, it's as if it's in the movie." Beside him sat the store manager and his precious daughter, Canon Chiba. The store manager said proudly, "Of course, the female lead is my daughter." This sentence, which was not on the same channel at all, was directly ignored by everyone. Canon Chiba said excitedly, "Who invented this technology? This is definitely the greatest invention I've ever seen." Fenghua Xiaoxue was originally a very outstanding actress. After becoming a queen, the change in her living environment affected the improvement of her temperament. She smiled politely but not solemnly and said, "Sorry, I can't say his name, but I'll pass on all your praises to him. I'm sure he'll be very happy." Then, everyone planned to change the venue and began to discuss future cooperation in detail. The director didn't want to get up and wanted to watch another show. After the 4th show, everyone finally began to discuss further. After knowing that the virtual reality movie would only be shown in Snow Country, the director disagreed. "If this technology is expanded, there will be a bigger market. I can be the agent and we can split the profits." But he was rejected. Canon Chiba even wanted to buy this technology, but was also rejected. The final result of the negotiation was that Fenghua Xiaoxue would establish a cooperation with the director and obtain the rights to adapt the virtual reality movie. And Canon Chiba was invited to be the spokesperson for this technology. Canon Chiba didn't understand. What's a spokesperson? Fenghua Xiaoxue used Naruto's words to answer, it's the product's public perception and image. It's also a method of advertising, tying you and this technology together. In the early stages, this technology will be known by everyone because of your fame. In the later stages, when this technology is widely spread, it will also increase your fame. In short, it's a mutually beneficial method of advertising. Canon Chiba agreed. The contract was signed. The store manager left with Canon Chiba. The director stayed behind, indicating that he wanted to sit down a little longer. How could the store manager not see that the director had other plans? He didn't disturb him and left with his daughter. When only Feng Hua Xiaoxue and the director were left in the room, the director finally spoke. Have you ever thought of using this technology in another type of movie? Feng Hua Xiaoxue didn't understand at first and asked, another type of movie? What are you talking about? The director's expression was serious, but his face was flushed with blood. It's a movie for adults. The director's expression was serious. Chapter 287. The virtual reality movie was a stepping stone in Naruto's plan. It was a stepping stone for Snow Country to become an entertainment superpower. Therefore, it was necessary to monopolize the market in the early stages. Only this way could its value be maximized and attract rich businessmen to Snow Country. Fortunately, the movie Wind and Flower Snow had made Snow Country quite famous. It could be considered to have laid the foundation for the development of the tourism industry. At the same time, Naruto believed that once the second part of Canon Chiba's The Last Swordswoman was released, as it was also a masterpiece shot in Snow Country, it would also play an excellent role in promoting Snow Country. At that time, the movie would promote the tourism industry, and the tourism industry would promote other local service industries. Snow Country's economy would snowball and become bigger and bigger. Of course, driven by the huge profits, Snow Country would also attract the attention of all parties. At the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Snow Breeze arrived in a special sleigh of Snow Country. Your place is really too far away. Every time I come here, I'm so tired that I'm half dead. Snow Breeze couldn't help but complain when she saw Naruto. Naruto thought for a moment. It was not good to let the queen run around all day. Then, should he give Snow a summoning card? He could consider it after the spiritual network was upgraded. You lost your glasses again, right? Snow Breeze rolled her eyes and continued to complain. Since you know, can't you send some over? Naruto touched his nose embarrassedly and explained, I've been quite busy recently. Oh right, what's the news about Chakra's production unit? Snow Breeze rolled her beautiful eyes again. I knew you'd be thinking about this all day. Here, according to your request, I made a miniature version and a full set of blueprints. Snow Breeze waved her hand and a follower handed over a box with both hands. But what no one expected was that the follower suddenly attacked as he approached Naruto. An icicle instantly appeared in his hand and stabbed towards Naruto's stomach. The change was too quick, and the innocent look on Windflower Little Snow's face did not even fade away. However, Naruto was very calm. He didn't even raise his hand. He only glanced at the person, and the icicle in the person's hand was taken away. The icicle expanded and froze the person and the box in his hand into a block of ice. Ah! Only then did Snowflake let out a cry of surprise. Naruto reached his hand into the ice, and the ice element chakra wrapped around the box. Then, the box was pulled out. Naruto opened the box and said casually, Fake Icebound. Looks like this guy is wearing the chakra armor of wind and flowers. Has the technology of your chakra armor been stolen? Snow Breeze still hadn't recovered from her shock. She quickly explained, I don't know why he attacked you really. It's definitely not my intention. Naruto checked the item list that came with the box. There was no problem with the items in the box. He comforted Snow Breeze. Of course I know it's not your intention. You know I know Icebound. How could you let your follower use a fake Icebound on me? Hearing this, Snow Breeze let out a sigh of relief. Naruto melted the ice and asked the follower, Tell me, why did you attack me? The follower actually didn't give up. He turned around and charged towards Snow Breeze, wanting to use her as a hostage. However, no matter how fast he couldn't be faster than Naruto's thoughts. An icicle shot out from the ground and pierced the follower's stomach. He was lifted high into the air. White frost covered his entire body in the blink of an eye. However, in an instant, under the ice element chakra's chill, his entire body was frozen again. In an instant, he was twice as fat as before. Naruto knew that this was the effect of his bodily fluids being frozen into ice. His skin was swollen, and his entire body was dark purple. It was obvious that he wouldn't survive. Snow Breeze was once again shocked by the scene in front of her. Naruto muttered to himself, "I never force people. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it." He then said to Snow Breeze, "This guy didn't attack my throat, but my stomach. I think he wants to kidnap me." Snow Breeze forced herself to remain calm, but no words came out of her mouth. Naruto continued, To be able to find this place in such a short time, and with the chakra armor he's wearing, I can tell that he's from a local faction." Snow Breeze took a deep breath and calmed down a little. Is it because of the virtual reality movie? Naruto smiled mysteriously. There's always crime behind wealth. Recently, the virtual reality movie has been spreading like wildfire. The movie theaters are always full. It's only natural that some people can't sit still. But according to my speculation, it shouldn't be a local faction that's interested. Instead, it should be someone with a good eye for business, and then hired a local faction. Snow Breeze recovered from her shock. As a queen, her IQ started to come online, and she deduced, if that's the case, then maybe I can deduce who it is. If this person isn't from Snow Country, then he must be an outsider who watched the movie. An outsider with a good eye for business, money, and the means to hire a local faction. With all these factors added together, it shouldn't be hard to eliminate him. Don't worry, I'll definitely find him. Before Snow Breeze could finish, Naruto waved his hand and said, "Why do you need to find him? If this guy can see the commercial value of the virtual reality movie, then he's a potential client. Killing a client is like killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. That kind of action is just too stupid." Snow Breeze was stunned. She felt that even her IQ couldn't keep up with Naruto's thinking. She asked dumbly, "Then, are we just going to leave them be?" Naruto shook his head again and said, "We can't say that we're going to leave them be. Half and half. We don't need to care about those business aristocrats. The more they want something, the harder it is for them to get it, and the greater the value of the virtual reality movie. What we need to do, or rather what I need to do, is to eliminate the local factions that aren't under your control." Eliminate the underground factions? Those mercenaries? Snow Breeze said with uncertainty, "Those people are like underground rats. It's very difficult to get rid of them. And it's easy to get revenge. It's not worth it to deal with them," Naruto said confidently. "That's because the method used is wrong. Don't worry, in a month's time, those rats will all disappear." Snow Breeze frowned. "Then what do you need me to do?" Naruto grinned. "Let the virtual reality movie theater continue to operate." Gu Ni escorted Snow Breeze away. Little Gu Ni smiled. They definitely won't think of putting a tracking device in the glasses. Naruto chuckled. "That's why it's fine if they don't steal. The more they steal, the faster they'll die." Then, Naruto thought of something. "Right, actually, we can also release this kind of mission. We can release it on a large scale and let all the rats participate. What do you think? Isn't this a very good idea?" Naruto grinned. He. Little Gu Ni followed suit. He. Chapter 288. In a private room in an inconspicuous bar in Snow Country. A wealthy businessman with 2 bodyguards yelled at a man with stubble on his face, "I want glasses that can show magical scenes. Not this rotten wood." The man with stubble on his face frowned. "Sir, this is what you want. My men brought it from that movie theater." The businessman pulled the glasses in front of the man and asked, "Then can you see magical scenes when you wear these glasses? This is a big deal of 5 million taels. I hope you won't use these fake goods to fool me." The businessman's saliva flew out and sprayed on the man's face. The man held back his anger and took a look at the glasses. In fact, he didn't know what the magical scene the businessman was talking about because he had never been to the cinema. He said seriously, "Our people will never use fake goods to fool you. How about this? I'll go there myself today and give you the news at this time tomorrow." The businessman stood up and said, "This will be your last chance. You should know that I've also issued missions to other companies. If they are faster than you, then you can only blame yourselves for not having the ability." The businessman left after saying that. After the businessman left, a small girl suddenly appeared in the room. The girl pouted cutely and said angrily, "Brother, this fat man is so hateful. The things he brought are obviously real." The man with stubble on his face smiled. "I believe you. But is it true that he can see magical scenes? Did you see them?" The little girl's eyes lit up when the virtual reality glasses were mentioned. She nodded and said, yes, it's really magical. It feels like I'm in a movie." The man turned the glasses in his hand over and looked at them. They were made of wood and could be easily adjusted. Other than that, he didn't see anything unusual. "Well, there's a movie in an hour. I'll go there myself." The little girl opened her mouth, but the words that came to her mouth didn't come out. She wanted to ask if he could take her, but then she remembered that the movie tickets were too expensive and her brother didn't have much money, so she held back. At this moment, the door opened and a fat man wearing a round rolling suit walked in. He shouted, "Today's luck is really bad. I thought I got a good mission, but that guy didn't acknowledge it at all during the transaction. He even suspected." When Fatty saw the glasses on the man's face, the words he was about to say suddenly got stuck in his throat. He said in surprise, "White Wolf, you have these damn glasses too? So you've also accepted that mission?" The veins on the face of the man known as White Wolf twitched. He glared at Fatty and reprimanded, "How many times have I told you? You should at least knock on my door if you want to find me. If the client is here, I will kill you." Fatty smiled sheepishly. Hee, didn't I come in after seeing the client leave?" Seeing that the White Wolf was really going to make a move, Fatty hurriedly promised, "Be careful next time, I'll definitely be careful next time." The three of them were obviously old acquaintances. Although they argued fiercely, they still sat together and exchanged information. Fatty picked up the glasses that the man had placed on the table and put them on. Then, he took out an identical pair of glasses from his body. After comparing the two, he didn't find any differences. White Wolf asked, "You also saw the magical scene with these glasses?" Fatty said firmly, "I saw it. At first, I thought it was an illusion, so I tried all kinds of testing methods. In the end, I confirmed that it wasn't. I say, why don't we team up and kidnap the queen to ask her?" The girl at the side glared at Fatty and said, "You damn fat rat. Don't you dare have any ideas about the queen. Be careful or I'll cut open your stomach right now." Fatty chuckled and said, "I'm just saying. Besides, even if we kidnap her, we can just send her back untouched after questioning her. Also, little butterfly, my name is Bamboo Rat, not Fat Rat." The girl protested, "Then I'm not Little Butterfly either. I'm Snow Butterfly." When the man at the side saw that the two of them were arguing again, he rubbed his temples and said, "Anyway, I'll go take a look at the next round too." At the same time, the scene in front of them was recorded by the inconspicuous wooden glasses and transmitted to the snowy mountain through the spiritual network. Gurney's hand quickly drew the portraits of the people and noted down their information at the same time. Snow Wolf, Snow Butterfly, and Bamboo Rat were among them. At the same time, there was also a simple record of their relationship. There was also a record of the rich merchants, and the portraits were very lifelike. The column for their names was temporarily empty, but it was believed that they could fill it up after going to Windflower and Snow's place. "In the spiritual network," little Gurney said pitifully, "this little girl doesn't look like a bad person. Do we still have to capture her?" Naruto replied, We'll definitely capture them all, but the punishment won't be too heavy. Little Gurney then asked, then why do we have to capture her? Naruto briefly explained his idea. We can form a force of our own. Although their strength isn't that great, some jobs don't need to be that strong to do them. For example, cleaning up the rats this time. If we had people who could be used, we wouldn't have to do this kind of statistical work at all. Gurney looked up at Naruto bitterly and said, "Don't use the word we. I'm the only one in charge of the statistics." Naruto chuckled and said, "You're the best at drawing, aren't you? The technology to store images is still not perfect, hee hee." Gurney snorted and continued to draw at lightning speed. She muttered, "Then we can ask Big Senior Brother to convert the images transmitted by the spiritual network into digital codes and display them on the computer. Anyway, the image coding of the spiritual link is also binary, right? The two runes represent 1 and 0. Big Fatty replied coolly, "The design of the server is at an important moment, we don't have time." Gurney was choked by the words "don't have time." You don't have time, but I have to be tired like a dead dog? This is oppression. Dictatorship. However, Gurney did not protest to her big senior brother. When the server was mentioned, Naruto had an idea and said to Big Fatty, "Add a hierarchy to the original structure of the spiritual network. Let's divide it into 5 levels first. The highest level is our highest management, and the other levels can be set later." Big Fatty, who was busy drawing runes on the crystal, stiffened and asked weakly, "Boss, what's the use of having a hierarchy?" Naruto explained, "I just thought of it. There are still security risks if we let the rats become our subordinates. We can make a special identity card that removes the summoning ability. We can add monitoring, positioning, and other functions to the card. That way, we can deal with any traitors as soon as they appear." Big Fatty asked, "Then can't we just join the network directly? Just like now?" Naruto waved his hand and said, "Trustworthy people must be separated from untrustworthy people. Otherwise, if we encounter dangerous people, they may use the spiritual network against us, such as stealing important information. So, we have to do a good job of protecting the levels. The authority of a lower-level account cannot exceed the level. It's best to add an insurmountable security firewall between the two levels, such as adding a physical transfer layer. The information of the lower level of the spiritual network is gathered on the physical server of the lower management level, and then the lower physical server is connected to the upper physical server. At the same time, if there are any abnormalities, the higher management level can use their authority to cut off the connection between the lower level server and the higher level server." Big Fatty retracted the talisman lines that he had drawn and began to draw again. Half an hour later, Naruto had another idea. "Alright, I have another idea. Can't chakra be transmitted through the spiritual network? We can design a contribution point system and let those who don't have enough chakra use their points to exchange for chakra. Considering the special circumstances, we can let them buy on credit." Gunny's eyes lit up when he heard this. He praised, "That's a good idea. Many ninjas are not strong enough because of chakra's shortcomings. That way, those who are not very strong can also explode with considerable combat power." Big Fatty looked up at the sky and admitted that this was indeed a good idea. But one word from boss and he had to restructure the formation. How tiring. Big Fatty couldn't help but think, if only the construction of the server could have a basic skeleton like the prosthetic limb. That way, we can add any functions we need at any time and won't have to change the whole thing. Thinking of this, Big Fatty's eyes lit up and he shouted in the spiritual network, "Why not?" And so, the server welcomed another major change. Chapter 289. The virtual reality cinema was getting more and more popular, and more glasses were being sold every day. Feng Hua Snowy couldn't sit still any longer and visited the Snowy Mountain Laboratory again. She was a little worried. Can those people really not learn this technology from the glasses? Nowadays, the virtual reality cinema had 6 shows a day, and all of them were sold out. The ticket prices were getting higher and higher, and for the snow country, the income gained in just half a month was already comparable to the total of the first half of the year. Naruto brought a cup of hot tea for Fenghua Snowy and comforted her. "Don't worry, didn't I say that the glasses are just a client that's only responsible for receiving information? The real core is in an independent server." Fenghua Snowy took a sip of the hot tea, and her face flushed red. "If you don't manage the household, you won't know the price of rice and firewood." The economy of the snow country was really too poor in the past. Now that there was such a good opportunity, Fenghua Snowy naturally wanted to seize it. "Alright, Naruto, there's one more thing. Recently, there have been people queuing up to buy tickets, and then they'll sell them at a higher price to those who didn't get the tickets. We've caught a few batches, but there's still no improvement. Scalpers? It wasn't easy to stop scalpers. However, Naruto had his own tricks. He pursed his lips and smiled. You can also find people to buy tickets, and then sell them in the same way. Also, you can sell half of the tickets, and distribute the other half in another way. This way, the scalpers will earn less money, and then you can check a few rounds from time to time. When the profit is not proportional to the risk, they'll give up." Fenghua Snowy's eyes widened, and she exclaimed, "You can do that?" Naruto chuckled. "Why not?" Fenghua Snowy was a little troubled. "But, if I'm found out, it'll affect my image, and the people of Snow Country." Naruto took charge. "Then leave it to me. I'll start cleaning up the rats tomorrow. When the time comes, I'll just subdue a batch of rats to do this. As for the natives, you can set up another preferential policy." The next day, the sky was still dark, and the lazy people hadn't crawled out of bed yet. Naruto and the others split up and started to search house by house. When the sun rose, the operation ended. In total, there were 8 organizations of different sizes, and 320 people were captured. 200 of them were ordinary people who were sent to the prison of the Snow Country by Naruto. 120 people, including Chakra, were escorted to a newly developed dungeon at the foot of the Great Snow Mountain. It could be said that the underground organization of the Snow Country disintegrated overnight. Even if there were some left behind, there wouldn't be too many. After Naruto left with his men, the task of looting each organization's assets was left to Snowflake. According to Naruto, he didn't want any money, he only wanted rare metal materials and ninjutsu scrolls. During the interrogation process, there were some other unexpected gains. The organization that was suspected to have stolen chakra armor technology from the Snow Country was actually the developer of the chakra armor. The ins and outs of the matter is that the leader of this organization wants to imitate the 5 major countries and establish an organization similar to the ninja village in the Snow Country. Therefore, he found Fenghua Raging Waves and secretly nurtured them. This way, if Fenghua Raging Waves was in power, they would be able to achieve their plans smoothly. But the leader of this organization was timid. After the plan was achieved, he didn't dare to be arrogant. Instead, he chose to continue to hide in the dark. "Please, let me live" is definitely more useful than letting me die. In the interrogation room, an old man over 70 years old was lying on the ground with snot and tears. Then he crawled over to Naruto. It seems that he wanted to hug Naruto's thigh. Naruto's heart felt a chill. An ice wall blocked in front of him. Was this kind of rotten mud really the person who planned the change of the Snow Country? Really, strange. You probably won't live because your plan killed Snowflake's father. When the old man heard that he couldn't live, he cried even more sadly. He cried and complained, "Don't blame me, I didn't ask them to kill people, I originally planned to only let the child New Tao replace Snowflake's position. Woo-woo. I really didn't instruct. I taught Fenghua Raging Waves how to cultivate chakra." The old man cried so sadly that his snot was flowing. Naruto couldn't bear to look at him. He raised his head and stared at the ceiling. The old man continued to cry, "I don't have many hobbies, I just like to study things, but Snowflake asked me to study the geothermal device. What's there to study about that thing? It's a waste of time, or..." Then, I thought that if I replaced him, I would be able to support one of my own. That way, I would be able to freely research. It's true. I just wanted to study it. Woo-woo. The more the old man spoke, the sadder he became. At this time, Nine Tails also watched from the side and said, "He's telling the truth." Naruto rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, "When did you know how to detect lies?" Nine Tails said proudly, "I've always known, didn't you know?" T. Naruto took a deep breath. The old man's crying made him a little annoyed. He shouted, "Shut up. If you cry again, I'll kill you right now." The old man instantly shut up. He covered his mouth with both hands, his body twitching, his face red. Naruto wanted to scratch the wall, he wanted to howl at the moon. He was going crazy. He asked impatiently, "Then how do you explain sending someone to assassinate me a month ago? Don't tell me you didn't do it on purpose." The old man twitched and replied, "I really didn't do it on purpose. I only told my subordinates to capture you no matter what method they used. Who knows what method they used, woo-woo." "All right," the old man cried again. After asking Naruto, he already knew that this old man was the core figure in the development of technology in Snow Country. To be precise, whether it was the chakra manufacturing device, the geothermal device, or the chakra armor, they were all invented by this guy. This kind of person. It would be a waste to kill him in terms of brains. However, Naruto was not in the mood to continue interrogating him. He had Big Gunny knock him out and send him back to prison. Big Gunny was also very annoyed by the guy covered in snot. He found a gunny sack from somewhere, put it over him, knocked him out, and dragged him away. As for the other 7 organizations, after investigation, it was discovered that 3 of the larger organizations were actually set up by the ministers of Snow Country behind the scenes. Naruto wrote a report to Windflower Snow. Soon after, Windflower Snow arrived at the scene. "Is that guy still useful?" Windflower Snow's tone was calmer than Naruto expected. Naruto answered honestly, "I have to say he's a talent." Windflower Snow nodded, "Then let him atone for his crimes under your hands. You can kill him whenever you feel that he's useless." "That's it? That's it." Windflower Snow was becoming more and more like a queen. Naruto asked tentatively, "Also, what do you plan to do with the ministers who nurtured those 3 organizations?" Windflower Snow asked, "Are they useful to you?" Naruto shook his head. "They're useless to me." Windflower Snow nodded and said, "Then kill them all." Naruto shut his mouth. He thought to himself, "What a murderous spirit." After Windflower Snow left. Teacher 9 Lamas, why do I feel that the Earth attribute chakra nature transformation is very difficult to cultivate? It's been almost 3 months. Nine Tails was shocked. Naruto actually asked him about this. Could it be that he had discovered his little trick? Nine Tails said with a little guilty, "Is it slow?" "It's quite fast, after all. You've already learned a lot of chakra nature transformation. The more you learn, the slower your body will adapt." Naruto nodded. "Oh, I see." Nine Tails nodded and comforted. "Don't be discouraged, it's cultivation, it's not something that can be done in a day." Naruto's consciousness entered Nine Tails' sealed space. He stared at Nine Tails and said, "Teacher 9 Lamas, your soul fluctuations tell me that you're lying." Nine Tails was shocked. But then Naruto sighed. "Sigh. Is it because I'm not talented enough?" "Teacher 9 Lamas, you don't have to lie to comfort me, but I'm very happy that you can lie to comfort me. Thank you, Teacher 9 Lamas." "I'll work harder." Nine Tails originally thought that he had been exposed. He didn't expect such a turn of events. He wiped his non-existent cold sweat. He laughed and said, "Good luck, you can do it." Ha. Ha. Chapter 290. The rate at which chakra was progressing made Naruto very tired. Thus, Naruto decided to go somewhere else to relax. The spiritual network was about to be upgraded, and Naruto asked Hinata, "Can I join your Clown Emperor organization?" Hinata's heart skipped a beat, and she exclaimed, "Naruto-kun is also coming to the underground market?" Naruto replied, "My cultivation speed has been really slow recently. I think it's because I miss you too much, so I want to go to your place for a bit." This reason. Seeing that she was the one who did it, Nine Tails decided not to complain about it anymore. That. Hinata's face was red, and she was so nervous that her mind was a little blank. She was unable to say anything for a long time. Natsuya Sakuragi said, "There are two ways to join a mercenary group. The first is through the recommendation of a 2-star mercenary or above, and the second is through an existing mercenary group. If you want to join Hinata's mercenary group, all you have to do is get the nod of approval from the leader of Hinata's mercenary group." Naruto's eyes lit up. "So that means it's very easy to join?" Natsuya Sakuragi shook her head. "Other mercenary groups are easy, but I recommended Hinata's mercenary group after doing some research. It said that they only accept female members." Huh? Naruto was dumbfounded. Gurney suddenly chuckled. "It's not that difficult of a request. Master's hair is so long, and his face is so white. You can definitely dress as a woman." Gurney's death-seeking brain was activated. Big Brother Naruto wants to dress as a woman? Little Gurney can do Big Brother Naruto's hair. Naruto's expression darkened. Gurney cut in. "I'll do makeup. Recently, I've been researching a super awesome makeup technique that can fix the shape of your face. It'll definitely make you look as cute as a big sister." Gurney thought for a moment. Naruto and Gurney are about the same height, so you can wear Gurney's skirt. Gurney immediately agreed. "I bought a new fan skirt yesterday. I wore it once." Naruto's face turned even darker. Sakura Haruno, who usually didn't speak much, was about to speak when Naruto interrupted her. "Cross-dressing is impossible. Put away your evil thoughts. Hinata, ask your captain if there are any exceptions." Hinata responded in the spiritual network, then asked the leader, "Sister Hong, is there an exception if a male member wants to join?" Hinata, who was wearing a clown mask, didn't speak in her original voice. Instead, her voice had been altered. It sounded deep and cold. The woman called Sister Hong was the only one in the Clown Emperor mercenary group who didn't wear a mask. She had a hairstyle, an oval face, delicate facial features, and a black and red cloak. Under the cloak was a light, fiery red dress. The dress had a deep V-neck that extended all the way to her waist, just like Tsunade's. The woman held a cigarette between her slender fingers. She took a puff and looked at Hinata. "There are no exceptions. Clown Emperor doesn't accept men." Not accepting, Hinata still wanted to try. "He's very powerful," the woman said playfully. "How powerful? Can he defeat me?" Hinata wanted to say yes. This was her confidence in Naruto. However, she didn't give a direct answer. Instead, she asked, "If he can defeat you, you'll let him join?" It had to be said that one was marked by the company one kept. The pure Hinata had learned to be a little scheming after spending so much time with Naruto. However, to Hinata's disappointment, the woman shook her head. "No." Hinata was furious. She turned around and left unhappily. In the spiritual network, Hinata said unhappily, "Naruto-kun, they don't accept men." "There are no exceptions," Guenai said arrogantly. "Let's dress as a woman." Naruto couldn't be bothered with Guenai. He was feeling very conflicted. He was quite happy that Hinata was in an all-female team. This way, Hinata wouldn't meet other messy men. However, it was also sad. If that team didn't accept men, he wouldn't be able to join either. He couldn't help but ask, "Hinata, can we leave the mercenary group? Why don't we change to another one?" Hinata replied, "Yes, as long as I defeat the captain. However, I can't defeat her. Also, she's been guiding me in my cultivation ever since I came here. She couldn't defeat him in the first sentence, and she didn't want to fight him in the second sentence." "Fine, so she was out of options." Guenai said arrogantly again, "Let's dress as a woman." Naruto really wanted to choke Guenai to death. Natsuya Sakuragi said, "It's not like there's no way. According to the information I've collected, 2 medical ninjas in their team died before Hinata joined. Therefore, they haven't accepted any high-level missions for 2 months. They've been wandering around the Fire Nation in order to recruit a few medical ninjas into their team. Your medical ninjutsu is very powerful. Maybe you can do it." Hinata was overjoyed. She quickly said, Then I'll go and ask. Xia stopped her. You can't go and ask. You'll be treated as a spy sent by another mercenary group. Hinata didn't understand. What spy? Naruto understood. He explained, if you tell them that I'm a medical ninja, they'll ask you how you know they lack medical ninjas. If you can't explain it clearly, they'll treat you as a spy with ulterior motives. By the way, did she tell you that the team lacks medical ninjas? If she did. Hinata shook her head. They rarely talk to me. The captain only guides me in my training. She doesn't say anything else. Natsuya Sakuragi explained, it's like this for new members. Only after going through life and death with them a few times will the team gradually accept them. Well, some teams don't even say a word even when they're born like this. Is that so? Then it sounds like mercenaries seriously lack trust between people. This time, it was Guni's turn to shout, let's wear women's clothing. King women's clothing. CK women's clothing. Naruto's little face darkened. He glared at Gu and I. If you don't stop, your big brother Naruto will shave your hair until you're bald. Gu and I was frightened. He quickly covered his mouth with both hands and shook his head pitifully. Naruto stared at Gu and I. Gu and I made a zipping motion on his mouth. Fatty had just come online and happened to hear about women's clothing. He asked curiously, what women's clothing? Naruto's little eyes drifted to Fatty and began to look for scissors. In the end, under Fatty's apology, the scissors were not cut. Fatty was frightened and directly went offline to continue his research. In the spiritual network, Summer suggested, why don't you challenge the captain directly and use the medical ninja method in the challenge? This way, if the other party agrees, you can join. If not, you can defeat him and take Hinata away. I can help you check if there are any good teams to join recently. Naruto's eyes lit up and said happily, this method is reliable. Then I'll have to trouble big sister Summer. Suddenly, a strange voice appeared in the spiritual network. Master, I found Haku and Zabuza's bodies. The one who spoke was Wolf Girl, who had been lurking. Wolf Girl had been thrown by Naruto to the border between the Fire Country and the Wind Country to look for the Stone of Grail Vein a few months ago. However, there had been no news. Later, Naruto changed the order to go to the Wave Country and bring back part of Haku and Zabuza's bodies. This way, they could be reincarnated in Edo Tensei. Of course, Zabuza was not important to Naruto. What was important was Haku. Haku had the Ice Release Bloodline Limit. And in the Snow Country, the Ice Release Bloodline Limit would be a very powerful method. Naruto praised, well done, this is the only good news I've heard today. Chapter 291. After 2 months, the spiritual network was finally upgraded. On the first floor of the snowy mountain, Naruto used Edo Tensei to revive Haku. Welcome back to the human world. When Haku saw Naruto, his reaction was similar to Medicine Master Pocket's, ready to fight. However, Naruto controlled Haku's movements with just a thought. Don't be agitated. Think carefully and feel your current body. Haku was struggling, but his legs didn't listen to him. Haku stared at Naruto. Who is this person? He seems familiar, but, then, Haku noticed his body. It's a bit awkward, his upper body is a bit heavy. Haku subconsciously touched his chest, there are 2 lumps of meat there. And they are 2 huge lumps of meat. What's going on? Haku was shocked. He touched between his legs, it's gone. Naruto looked at Haku with a smile and said, your bird just said that it was too aggrieved to be on your body and flew away. Haku's eyes widened, he touched his body again and again in disbelief and said in horror, what did you do to me? At this time, his past memories also appeared. During the mission in the Wave Country, she and Zabuza died. He couldn't help but ask, what's going on? Who are you? Naruto said simply put, you died once and then I revived you. Although it's only a temporary revival, I think you should still thank me. As for me, you don't remember me? I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. That little brat? The person in his memory and the person in front of him overlapped. Haku was shocked. He couldn't help but say, "You've already grown so big. I've been dead for 7 or 8 years. Naruto was stunned. It seems that I've grown too fast. However, Naruto didn't plan to continue wasting time with Haku. Let's talk about our future cooperation. Although I'm not really resurrected, it's still better than being dead. I'll give you some time to make your own decisions, and you'll have to do something for me when I need it. It'll be considered a cooperative relationship. What do you think? Do you agree? If you don't agree, I have a charm that can forcibly control you. In that case, you'll just be a fighting machine, and it won't make much difference to me." Bai stared blankly at the talisman in Naruto's hand. She could vaguely feel that the talisman had a faint connection with her body and herself. However, Haku didn't show any dissatisfaction or disgust. After understanding the current situation, she glanced at the talisman and asked Naruto, "Can you tell me about Zabuza-sama's situation?" "You don't care about me, but you care about Zabuza? What a good girl." Naruto did not hide anything. "He's dead." Bai's body trembled, and a tear rolled down his cheek. Looking at the scene in front of him, Naruto felt a little emotional. His original cynical attitude was also put away. Naruto felt that he should give enough respect to a good girl like Haku, both in personality and spirit. After all, loyalty was an admirable virtue. Little Gunny complained about Haku's data while shouting in the high-level spiritual network shared area, "Big brother Naruto, do you have a grudge against this guy? He's obviously a boy, but you actually let him use a girl's body. This operation is really amazing." Naruto replied, "Don't cause trouble, go play somewhere else. Although he was a boy in the past, the person he likes is also a boy. I'm just helping him, it's benevolence." Originally, after the Edo Tensei reincarnation, the appearance and personality characteristics would be transformed into the living person's memories. In order to give Haku a girl's body, Naruto spent a lot of effort to modify the Edo Tensei mantra. Little Gunny tilted her head and complained, "What if the boy he likes a boy?" Naruto's brain crashed. "Zabuza likes boys? I didn't think of this. Should I ask next time when I change bodies?" Gunny joined in the fun. "Yes. Change back to a boy's body. Boys and boys are so loving." The corner of Naruto's mouth twitched. "Love my ass. A bunch of guys in the late stage of Fujoshi. The data in front of Haku, lifespan, 1 month, don't worry, you'll be a good girl again after a month. Bloodline limit. Ice, thank this excellent bloodline limit, otherwise you'd still be dead. Height, 165 centimeters. As a girl, you can wear a pair of high heels. Weight, 49 kilograms. I envy your body that doesn't gain weight. Measurements, 84, 66 centimeters, 56, 44 centimeters, 89, 98 centimeters. Haku's face twitched. While marveling at the magic of the card, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a mouse hole to hide in. After the attribute panel opened, the voice sounded again, "Now open the point store panel." Haku got used to this operation. With a thought, point store panel. Chapter 292. Point store panel opened. The panel showed, points you have, 0, points can be obtained by doing tasks. Points exchange options. Currency exchange, equipment upgrade, ninjutsu learning, chakra renting. Bai thought about it. Currency exchange. Another page appeared in front of him. Points exchange currency, current exchange rate, 1 point. 500 taels, currency exchange is irreversible. Oh, interesting. Bai changed his mind. Equipment upgrade. Chakra armor. Exchange requirement, 3-star ID card. Points price, 500 points. B-grade chakra armor. Exchange requirement, 2-star ID card. Points price, 500 points. C-grade chakra armor. Exchange requirement. Points price. 500 points. Chakra armor? The exchange price of equipment of different levels is the same. By notice the additional requirements. 2-star ID card and 3-star ID card. His sight fell on the upper left corner of the main operating table. There was a star there. Bai's sight fell on the star, and the green aperture locked on to the star. A small window popped up again. Rules for star level promotion. 1 star to 2 star. Complete 100 D-grade missions or 50 C-grade missions. 2 star to 3 star. Complete 100 B-grade missions or 50 A-grade missions or 5 S-grade missions. 4 star, unable to be promoted, needs to be awarded. 5 star, unable to be awarded, needs to be inherited. It seems that the level is very important. Bai thought about it and closed it. The small window in front of him disappeared. The screen returned to the previous page. A-grade combat prosthesis. Exchange requirement. B-grade. A-grade explosive talisman. Points. 20 points. B-grade explosive talisman. Points. 10 points. Standard ninja sword. Custom-made ninja sword. Pending product, armor. Unable to introduce due to insufficient authority. Pending product, mechanical wings. Unable to introduce due to insufficient authority. Pending map reconnaissance robot. Can be obtained from accepting map scanning missions. Mission completion will reward a reconnaissance robot. Bai roughly glanced at the things that he did not understand. Thought control, ninjutsu learning. Then he was shocked. She saw the elementary inheritance of ice release. Evaluation, A-level ninjutsu, 3-star ID card, 5,000 points, can only be learned by one person, and will be killed without mercy. Ice release secret technique, advanced inheritance, evaluation, S-class ninjutsu, requires 4-star ID card, 5,000 points, can only be learned by one person. If it is leaked, the user will be killed. Other than that, there were also other secret techniques. Multiple shadow clone jutsu, S-class ninjutsu, requires a 4-star ID card, 5,000 points. Multiplication explosive tag, S-class ninjutsu, requires a 4-star ID card, 5,000 points. Spiritualization. There was also an option to earn points by contributing forbidden techniques. And the application for the same level exchange of ninjutsu. Even S-class ninjutsu can be exchanged? Also, multiple shadow clone jutsu and spirit transformation jutsu. She knew a little about these ninjutsu, they should be with Leaf's forbidden techniques. Haku looked up at Naruto. Naruto looked at her with a smile and said nothing. With a thought, Bai decided to rent chakra. The page before his eyes changed again. Rental note. A Class A explosive talisman contains 10 units of chakra. 1 unit of chakra. 1 point. Can be delayed during battle. The delay period is 1 month. Interest will accrue if the delay period is exceeded. Renting chakra can be reversed. Contributing 1 unit of chakra will earn 1 point. Not recommended for Edo Tensei if you don't want to die early. Friendly reminder. Renting chakra during Edo Tensei can delay the body's durability by 3 times. When Haku finished looking at the last page, the prompt sounded again, please open the mission panel. Mission panel. Haku's thought moved. Mission panel. Become a scalper and queue for tickets. 1 week D-class mission. Reward, D-class mission completion +1. Points +1. Note, virtual reality movie tickets are valid for 1 day. Set up underground ticket station. 1 day D-class mission. Reward, D-class mission completion +1. Points +1. Be careful to hide. If the law enforcers of the Snow Country find out that you failed the mission, you will be imprisoned +1. Snow Country Patrol Law Enforcement Mission. D-class mission. Reward, D-class mission completion +1. Catching offenders will receive additional rewards from the Queen. Seeing this, Haku's mouth twitched. There are law-breaking missions and law-enforcing missions. This is both black and white. Also, They actually caught their own people. This is crazy. Haku's gaze continued to sweep down. There were also many strange missions below. Rescue mission, missing person mission, finding pet mission, and building houses, repairing bridges, reclaiming frozen soil and building a new city? By the way, where is this snow country? The next moment, the information of the snow country appeared in his mind. The northernmost part of the Ninja World map, a country covered in ice and snow, connected to the Arctic Circle behind the endless ice field? What is the Arctic Circle? Then, the information appeared again. As the planet rotates, there will be a zone of extreme night and extreme day under the sunlight. Haku shook his head and did not want to continue asking why. Instead, his gaze fell on the C-Class mission selection. C-Class mission, Map Reconnaissance. Led 10 map reconnaissance robots to scan the snow country. Mission duration, 1 month. Before the complete map is drawn, missions can be accepted continuously. Mission reward, points plus 1 per day for the duration of the mission, points plus 20 for the completion of the mission. Additional reward, complete 5 missions and receive a scanning robot, lifetime warranty, and a complete holographic map of the snow country. After seeing this mission, Haku had an illusion that this mission was prepared for him. There was only one C-Class mission. He could not view any mission above that because of insufficient authority. After reading it, the voice sounded again, now accept a mission and complete the novice tutorial. Haku's gaze fell on the C-Class mission and thought, this is it. The voice prompt, you have accepted a C-Class mission. Mission Qualification Review. Mission Qualification Review passed. Congratulations. You have successfully accepted the novice mission. The reward for accepting a C-Class mission is doubled, points plus 10. Finally, no matter what problem you have in using the system, you can call the help panel and submit the problem. If you encounter a problem that needs to be answered urgently, you can call the manual service. The manual service is not a free service. The manual service fee is charged by multiplying the star level by 5 points per minute. Every time the call exceeds 10 minutes, the additional fee will be charged. I wish you a pleasant experience. Manual service is so expensive. I am willing to accept your orders. Then, can you revive Zabuza-sama now? Naruto said calmly, when your identity card is upgraded to 3-star, there will be a request service for the revival of relatives and friends. Haku blinked his eyes. In other words, I have to rely on my own efforts to upgrade my identity to 3-star? That is impossible. I only have 1 month to live, and you only have 1 C-Class mission. Naruto smiled. To be precise, if you don't use this body to refine chakra and use the chakra rented by the system, you can live for 3 months. In addition, I have already set up your automatic resurrection location for you. The device is called Edo Tensei Reincarnation Service. The first time is free, but the second time is charged. Also, let me remind you, your account is inherited. If you have debts in the first reincarnation, they will be accumulated in the second reincarnation. There is a time limit for the repayment of debts. If the debt is not repaid, interest will be generated. Haku's eyes widened and he could not help but say, Profiteer. Naruto grinned, good luck. Chapter 293. Naruto's setting of the identity card level was directly copied from the underground trading system. In Naruto's words, this was to prepare for the promotion of the spiritual network to the underground trading system. But the girls privately agreed that this was just an excuse to be lazy. Great Snow Mountain Laboratory, 12 6-meter thick pillars propped up the 9th floor. On a 5-meter square 3-dimensional map, hundreds of blue light balls were wandering. These blue light balls were the owners of 1-star identity cards. They were the group of ninjas that Naruto captured and subdued. Most of these people were scattered around the Snow Kingdom, doing various D-level missions. As for those who ran further away, they were the ones doing the sea-level map scanning mission. For example, the northernmost part of the Snow Kingdom. Naruto's mind moved, and the northernmost blue light spot lit up. Visual synchronization. With a command, Naruto saw the scene that person saw. Haku walked barefoot in the ice and snow, and 10 terrain reconnaissance robots flew around to scan the terrain. Different from the others who scanned the map around the Snow Kingdom, Haku wanted to pass through the endless ice field in the north and go to the so-called Arctic Circle to take a look. To see if the polar day and night phenomenon mentioned in the database really existed. To see if the colorful aurora borealis existed. Barefoot to the Arctic. This kind of thing could only be done by people who had the ice release bloodline limit. For a moment, Naruto suddenly wanted to go on such a trip. He also had the ice release bloodline limit, and the ice field that blocked countless people from spying on it could stop others but not him. But then he shook his head. Compared to going to the Arctic, Naruto wanted to be by Hinata's side more. Haku walked forward barefoot, and at this time, the system notification suddenly sounded. You have a new message, please check it. A letter appeared in the operation window in front of Haku, which was a message sent through the help panel. It was the so-called official notice. With a thought, the letter opened. A new mission for you, arrive at the Arctic in 3 months, and the reward is a free reincarnation opportunity. Your most handsome boss. System notification, special mission received, rush to the Arctic. Mission reward, free reincarnation opportunity +1. Mission funding, 500 points, points can only be used to rent chakra. Note, I also want to see the beautiful aurora. I wish you success. Bai turned around and looked in the direction of the snow country. The place where she stood was already thousands of miles away from the snow country. Was she still under his control at such a distance? So terrifying. This is the power of a god, however, even the dead could be resurrected. Wasn't that something that only a god could do? Haku thought of Naruto's promise to her. Edo Tensei was not a real resurrection, but it would not be a problem for her to resurrect in the near future. In the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, after Naruto sent a message to Bai, he called out in the old spiritual network, according to the agreement, no one has anything to do today, right? Today, we're doing the final cut of the network. Gu and I. No. Little Gunny. No +1. Big Gunny. Ditto. Sakura Haruno. No. Gunny and the others were the first to reply, but they were ignored by Naruto. Naruto was concerned about those who were not in the snow country. Those who were in the snow country had already been replaced. Natsuya Sakuragi. No. Haru Sakuratani. No. Hinata. Yes, you can summon me at any time. Wolf Girl. At your command. At this moment, the girls who had not been reunited for a long time were a little excited. However, the most exciting thing was, it was Nine Tails, whose ears were already perked up. As long as Xia's card was replaced with a new one, he could send her a private message. Nine Tails had worked hard for 3 to 4 months before he could make a little bear biscuit that was not too bad. That's right, it was biscuits. He could not control the fire well and felt that the temperature was not high enough. In addition, there was a big problem with the ingredients. Therefore, every time he came out of the oven, he would not make soft and fragrant pastries, but hard and crunchy little bear biscuits. However, although failure was common, Nine Tails did not intend to give up. The summoning ritual began. Summoning 4 people at the same time was very taxing on chakra. This was especially true for the Sakuragi sisters. Both of them were very strong. To successfully summon them, a large amount of chakra had to be used and a spatial passage that was far more stable than normal was needed. Nine Llamas Sensei, can you lend me some chakra? I asked Xia to bring you some pastries. How could Nine Tails refuse? Forget about pastries, even if she did not bring any, he would not mind. With Nine Tails' chakra supply, Naruto easily summoned the 4 people who were not present. It was the first time Chun, Xia and Hinata had come to the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. The thick and smooth metal floor was covered with frosted sand. There were 12 metal pillars that were 6 meters thick and nearly 30 meters tall. There were also 12 circular windows that could see through the ice walls. Grand, magnificent, and domineering beyond compare. Natsuya Sakuragi subconsciously closed her eyes, trying to use her perception to check the surroundings. However, all he could see was pitch black. The entire mountain was covered with a powerful barrier. How extravagant! Xia looked at the pillar that was 6 meters thick and 30 meters long. Are those pillars made of metal? Naruto waved his hand. How is that possible? The stone pillars are made of rock, and the outside is covered with a layer of metal that is 1/2 meter thick. Chakra appeared in front of the pillar in the blink of an eye and pressed her hand on the pillar. She wanted to check it out, but the moment her chakra touched the pillar, she was sucked in. Xia turned to look at Naruto. Naruto saw Xia's confusion and explained, "At first, it was just an ordinary pillar. However, I later added Chakra's talisman array, which I learned from the Academy of Snow, into the pillar, using it as the energy storage for the server's operation." Xia pouted. "I haven't been in class for a few months. Have I been left behind?" Naruto comforted her. "I have summarized all this knowledge in the database. You can learn it after changing your cards." Compared to Xia, who immediately noticed the stone pillars, Hinata skipped to the edge of the platform and looked at the world outside through the huge ice wall window. She exclaimed, "It's so beautiful." Naruto suddenly remembered that Hinata liked snow very much. Naruto activated chakra with a thought, and snowflakes started falling in the room. Hinata was stunned for a moment, then became even happier and started skipping in the snowflakes. Xia was puzzled. "How does your chakra form snow?" "My chakra's effect on the body is fine, but once it overflows, it will be sucked in by the stone pillars." Naruto grinned. "Because of the authority. You will understand after changing your cards." Each of them had one card. Haru Sakuratani, Natsuya Sakuragi, and Hinata had purple cards, and the wolf girl had red cards. After the 4 of them bound their cards, on the map of the snow country in Naruto's eyes, there were 3 purple and 1 red light spots where the snowy mountain was. Purple, 4 stars. Red, 3 stars. Beside these light spots, there were other light spots. The 3 purple ones represented Gurney and the other 2. Other than that, there was also Pharmacist's Pocket, which was not on the same floor as them. Pharmacist's Pocket, red. Sakura Haruno, red. And 2 black ones. Black represented the highest 5 stars. They were Naruto and Big Fatty. Like Bai, after binding their cards, the 4 girls entered teaching mode. 3 and 4 stars had more functions than Bai's 1 star. Chapter 294. How did you do that? When the video ended, the 4 girls' eyes widened. Haru Sakuratani exclaimed as a layman. Natsuya Sakuragi and Hinata were shocked. Wolf Girl was speechless. Although talisman arrays can also store information, we've tried it. Even 3-dimensional talisman arrays have limited storage. Xia asked the question, or more accurately, it rose from the bottom of her heart. The data that explained the question appeared in Natsuya Sakuragi's mind. Memory data. Data is stored in the computer. Data is transferred through the transcoder of electric signals and runes. Note: there are technical flaws in the spiritual network storage technology, so we're temporarily borrowing the computer's data storage technology. Gurney. Gurney thought of this? It was indeed Gurney's idea. That day, when Gurney was drawing portraits through the spiritual network, she complained about not connecting the spiritual network to the computer. That way, the pictures could be saved directly and she would not have to draw them one by one. At that time, the eldest senior apprentice brother's answer was that he was busy designing the server. However, this idea solved the storage problem later. Any more questions? Naruto looked at Xia and Hinata with a smile. Xia and Hinata originally had a lot of questions, but 80% of them were solved in an instant. The remaining 20% of questions were only interested in the function. Xia said first, "I want points. I saw the Talisman Array Dictionary Exchange in the Learning module. If I exchange for this, I won't have to memorize the dictionary." Hinata raised her hand. "I want points too." Spring said, "Me too. I want to try the clone rental function. The clone rental function allowed one to rent one's clone in the point store. The principle was that Naruto edited the shadow clone technique into a talisman array. This way, as long as the array was triggered, the clone would be summoned. Then, the clone would be connected to the person who rented it out through the spiritual link. This way, the person who rented out the clone would be able to control the clone from a distance. The chakra used by the clone would be provided by the buyer. They could use their own chakra or buy chakra from the store. You want points? Naruto asked with a smirk. The three girls nodded in succession. The wolf girl also wanted to nod, but she held back. Naruto chuckled. Don't we still have the points bank? You can borrow points from the points bank. The cute Hinata nodded repeatedly. Oh, I see. I'll go borrow some. Hinata entered the points bank page. There were many subpages on the main page of the points bank. There were points storage, points withdrawal, points transfer, and points loan. Hinata's mind moved and entered the subpage for credit lending. There were two subpages in the credit lending section: credit loans and collateral loans. Brief explanation. Credit loans were based on one's identity and credit score. The loan was characterized by low interest rates. Mortgage loan, using exclusive knowledge as collateral for a loan. Exclusive knowledge includes life skills, combat skills, and important information. Applying for a mortgage loan did not require any exclusive knowledge. After submitting the application, there would be a lie detector test to obtain evidence. The specialty of the loan was to serve the public. Everyone for me, I for everyone. Hinata chose the credit loan. Little Genie's voice rang out. According to your identity, the loan limit is 10,000 points. Please enter the amount you wish to borrow. Hinata entered 10,000 points. Little Genie's voice prompted. Please select the loan period. The loan period was 12 months, 6 months, 1 month. Hinata tried to select 12 months. At this time, the two blank boxes below started jumping wildly. A string of numbers appeared. Hinata could not help but count. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10,000. In front of the blank box, there were two words. Interest. Hinata's thoughts of confirming the loan immediately stopped. What was interest? As the eldest daughter of the Zong family, even if she had not eaten pork, she had seen pigs run. Little Genie's voice rang out. Please make your choice within 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, the system will confirm by default. Hinata was shocked. She controlled her mind and said, Clear. Little Genie's voice rang out. The order has been cleared. Do you wish to leave it on this page? Phew. Hinata breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the she-wolf beside her said in surprise, I can actually rent chakra. I can feel that it's not my power that's being consumed. This is amazing. Then, a clone suddenly appeared beside the she-wolf. The clone was so dark that its face could not be seen. This was to protect the privacy of those who did not want to show their faces. The she-wolf poked the clone's face. She could feel it. Then, she ordered, Use shadow clone technique. Then, the entire hall was filled with clones. The she-wolf praised, Master, your clone is too powerful. The master was naturally Naruto. Naruto looked at the she-wolf with a beaming face. How many points did you borrow? The she-wolf replied, Full limit. 5,000 points. Full limit? What a good child. Naruto's smile became even brighter. Little Genie could not stand it anymore and reminded, that, there's interest on the loan. That, there's a punishment if you can't pay the interest. Punishment? What punishment? At the same time, the relevant information appeared in the she-wolf's mind. Memory information. If the loan is not paid off on time, credit will be deducted based on the date of the default. If all credit is deducted, you will be electrocuted every morning. The power of the electrocution will continue to increase according to the time of the default until it becomes life-threatening thunder. Friendly reminder. If you mistakenly borrowed a large amount of points, please choose to repay in advance. The she-wolf began to repay in advance. In the end, she still had 500 points. The she-wolf noticed that the interest of the 500 points was rolling at 5% per day. In other words, if the 500 points were not paid off, 25 points would be added every day. Fortunately, the interest was not included in the interest conversion, so there was no compound interest. However, it would still be 100 points for 4 days. With the help of the system, some things that the she-wolf did not understand were answered. Finally, she came to the conclusion that she wanted to play. She begged in a crying voice, "Master, save me. I don't want to be electrocuted." Naruto smiled and asked, "How long did you choose for the loan?" The system prompted the she-wolf. The she-wolf replied, 12 months. Naruto encouraged her, "Isn't that still a long time? As long as you pay it off within a year, you won't be electrocuted. It's easy to earn points. You can click on the mission panel. By the way, there's a mission to scan the border between the Fire Nation and the Wind Nation that suits you." The border between the Fire Nation and the Wind Nation? Wasn't that where the Greya mine was located? How was this a mission suitable for her? This was clearly a mission designed for her. "Woo-woo," Little Gunny said, "you can choose 1 month. 1 month's loan is interest-free." With Little Gunny's guidance, the other 3 finally knew the correct way to use a point loan. At this time, Ninetales said in the Spiritual Network public chat area, "Little Xia, you can put your cooking skills on the point store. That way, if someone likes it, they will spend money to buy it. The more people buy, the more money you earn." Xia Cutie blinked. "Can this be sold too?" Ninetales pretended to be nonchalant and said, "Of course, there are many other things that can be bought. Swordsmanship, ninjutsu, and all kinds of other things. Only the buyer can use them. Violating the contract will be punished." Naruto praised, "Nine Lama Sensei, your suggestion is not bad. With Sister Xia's experience, other people will be able to cook good pastries when they have nothing to do." Big Gunny and Sakura Haruno looked at each other. They chatted privately on the spiritual network. Big Gunny, Ninetales proposed to cook pastries. Could it be that Naruto is practicing pastry cooking because of Ninetales? Sakura Haruno, if this isn't love. The two of them secretly laughed in a strange manner. She-Wolf threw the soul pestle aside and Little Gunny said to She-Wolf privately, "I can lend you 500 points, but there's a condition." Chapter 295. Little Gunny, I can lend you 500 points, but I have a condition. Hearing Little Gunny's voice, Wolf Girl was like a drowning person who suddenly grasped at straws. Little Gunny should be the one with the most points because the 1-star to 5-star tutorials and many of the voice prompts were recorded with Little Gunny's voice. Of course, Wolf Girl didn't know this. In the spiritual network, the two entered a private chat. Wolf Girl said worriedly, "What can I do for you?" Little Gunny pursed her lips and laughed. She then cleared her throat and said, "I lost a bet with Big Gunny. The bet was to wash her feet. I don't want to wash her feet, so you can do it for me." At the same time, Wolf Girl heard a ding. The system prompt appeared on the virtual operation panel. "Little Gunny has given you an exclusive mission. Wash Big Gunny's feet. Please choose whether to accept." Wolf Girl clicked on the mission details. Exclusive mission: Wash Big Gunny's feet. Mission publisher: Little Gunny. Mission time limit: 7 days. Mission reward: 500 points. Mission failure punishment: listen to Little Gunny. This mission was too easy. She could earn 500 points just by washing her feet? One had to know that the highest level explosive talisman only cost 20 points. 1 point could be exchanged for 500 taels of cash, so 20 points was equivalent to 10,000 taels of cash. 500 points was equivalent to 2,500 million taels of cash. Accept. Wolf Girl clicked accept without hesitation. Mission notification: mission accepted. In the private chat, Wolf Girl smiled. Actually, You don't have to be so nervous. Even if you don't pay back the points, Big Brother Naruto won't punish you. Wolf Girl heaved a sigh of relief. It's better to pay back the points. Little Gunny stuck her tongue out at Wolf Girl. But you can't complete the mission I gave you. Huh? Wolf Girl was dumbfounded. Little Gunny asked, Can you beat Big Gunny? Wolf Girl shook her head. Big Gunny had taught her when she was at the store manager's house. Little Gunny smiled strangely. Then how can you wash her feet? Big Gunny's feet can't be touched by anyone other than us sisters. You can only complete this mission after defeating her. So, according to the mission punishment, you'll be mine in 7 days. As she spoke, Wolf Girl heard another ding-dong. The system prompt appeared on the virtual operation panel in front of him. You have received a transfer of 500 points from Little Gunny. Please check. What was going on? Wolf Girl was completely dumbfounded. According to Little Gunny, there was no way she could complete that mission. If that was the case, he would have to accept the quest's punishment, which was to listen to Little Gunny. She-Wolf didn't care about that at first, but now that she thought about it, she had been tricked by Little Gunny. To put it simply, Little Gunny bought her for 500 game points. Calm down, calm down. Maybe Little Gunny was just joking with her. Little Gunny was such a cute little girl. The Wolf Girl felt uneasy and couldn't help but ask, What would you have me do? It's not a big deal, Little Gunny comforted. Just a massage and some snacks. Was that really the case? Wolf Girl asked guiltily, What if I don't listen to you? Little Gunny chuckled. Then I have the right to punish you. For example, I can give you an electric shock through the system. But don't worry, I won't be able to electrocute you to death. Only a 5-star authorization can activate the electric shock. Speaking of the 5-star authorization, Little Gunny pouted. If only I had a 5-star authorization, but Big Brother Naruto said I would mess around. I'm so cute and obedient. How can I use my authorization to do something bad? It's so infuriating. Wolf Girl's facial muscles twitched. Thank goodness you don't have a 5-star authorization. You tricked me with a 4-star authorization. If you had a 5-star authorization, wouldn't you have gone to heaven? Wolf Girl cursed in her heart. She could almost see the image of her being bullied by this little devil in the days to come. At this moment, the system prompt sounded. Little Gunny has invited you to join the family chat group. Wolf Girl glanced at Little Gunny. Little Gunny's eyes were bright, and its butt was swaying left and right as it looked at her. Reject. Then after 7 days, something bad would definitely happen. Wolf Girl swallowed a mouthful of saliva and agreed. Then, the virtual operation window in front of her was activated, and there was a new group called Family Chat Group. Wolf Girl's consciousness fell on it, and the group was opened. She saw Sakura Haruno. Little Gunny shouted in the group, Welcome home. However, no one agreed with her. In the big meeting room on the 9th floor, Sakura Haruno's hair suddenly stood up, and her body trembled 3 times. She was electrocuted. The next moment, Sakura Haruno's weak voice came from the family chat group. Welcome home. Wolf Girl saw all of this and couldn't help but gulp. Was this what they meant by a shoulder massage? It was over. Wolf Girl saw Sakura Haruno being electrocuted, and so did everyone else. Naruto looked at Sakura Haruno strangely and asked, You lost a bet with Little Gunny again? Sakura Haruno nodded helplessly. Naruto reminded her, although the weaker version of chakra won't hurt people, you should be careful in the game. After all, something bad might happen. Something bad? What bad things could happen from electrocution? As soon as this thought came to Wolf Girl's mind, a string of system data appeared in her mind. Memory data. Excessive electrocution could cause incontinence. Wolf Girl looked at Little Gunny. Little Gunny's cute smiling face had completely darkened in Wolf Girl's eyes. No. I can't let this guy's scheme succeed. I must complete the mission. At that time, I'll be able to get another 500 points. After making up her mind, Wolf Girl planned to use 500 points to pay off her debt. Then, he heard the sound of the system beep. The system notification appeared on the virtual operation panel in front of her. Your most handsome boss has cleared the loan bill for you. Then, Naruto's private message came, don't do things carelessly in the future. Also, Little Gunny's mission is very tricky. I hope you didn't get tricked by her. Suddenly, Wolf Girl seemed to be crying. She replied in the private message, Master. Save me. Naruto was silent for a while before he asked, have you been tricked? Then, Wolf Girl told him what happened just now. Naruto was speechless. Wolf Girl begged in a sobbing voice, Master, save me. Naruto sighed. Little Gunny's mission is normal. Good luck. Wolf Girl was in a mess. Haru Sakuratani used the points from a month's interest-free loan to try out the clone rental system. Natsuya Sakuragi used the points from a month's interest-free loan to buy a rune array dictionary. Then, according to Nine Tails' instructions, she sorted out the method of making puffs and put it on the points shop. Xia just wanted to give it a try and set the price at 5 points. But the next moment, someone bought it and the system notified her that 5 points had been credited. At the same time, Nine Tails said in the private message, compared to puffs, I prefer dirty buns. Can you share the recipe of dirty buns with me? Xia sorted out the recipe of dirty buns and published it, setting the price at 5 points. Once again, it was bought in an instant. Nine Tails thanked her. Thanks, but I can ask you if I have any problems, right? Don't worry, I'll use the points to buy services according to the spirit of the deal. Xia replied happily, of course, you're welcome any time. Nine Tails added, well, don't let anyone else know that I'm asking for your help. Xia was very cooperative. Sure. Compared to the unfair deal between Wolf Girl and Little Gunny, Xia's deal with Nine Tails was much more harmonious. After the girls familiarized themselves with the system, Naruto said to them, do you understand the functions of the new card? If you don't, you can take your time. Next, you can leave a sample of your hair, nails, and blood with me. That way, if there's an unavoidable death due to special circumstances, I can resurrect you. Chapter 296. 1-star card had 3 panels: Basic Information, Point Store, and Mission. 2-star card had 5 panels. 1-star card added Chat, World Map. 3-star card had 7 panels. 2-star card added Family and Friends Resurrection Service, Points Bank. 4-star card had 9 panels. 3-star card added Authority Management, Mission Issuance. Authority Management could manage group members below 4-star and could deprive them of the right to use the spiritual network. Mission Issuance, or more accurately, Review Mission Issuance. 1-star to 3-star members could issue missions through the spiritual network, but the missions needed to be reviewed by 4-star members before they were announced. 5-star card had more panels. It could be said that it depended on one's needs. It had full authority over the entire spiritual network and could monitor any registered member in the network. Of course, these were not all the functions of the spiritual network. There were some functions that could be activated through authorization. For example, summoning members. This function was not in the general version and required a 5-star authority card to grant it. Great Snow Mountain Laboratory. Haru Sakuratani, Natsuya Sakuragi, Hinata, and Wolf Girl Fugai put their fingernails, hair, and blood samples into 4 crystal boxes. Xia said playfully, is this enough? Seeing that Haru and Summer didn't refuse, Naruto was very happy. Yes, although Edo Tensei can't be regarded as a real reincarnation method now, when the cloning technology is perfected in the near future, it will usher in a new breakthrough. Xia Mengmeng nodded and pursed her lips into a smile. Originally, I didn't care much about life and death, but after seeing so many strange and interesting things here, I started to hope that I could live a little longer and see more things that I have never seen before. Did not care about life and death? Naruto's heart tightened. Xia's eyes were very pure, as pure as transparent glass beads. There was no joy or sadness. Only the cute expression on her face could be used to decorate it. It was a fake smile, but it was not annoying. Perhaps it was because of her unfake sincerity. Normal people's fake smiles were to cover up their true feelings and to fool others. But this face was so that others would not feel uncomfortable. These two cannot be mentioned in the same breath. Naruto took a deep breath and promised, "The future world will become more and more interesting. I will definitely not let you feel bored." Xia's smile grew even brighter. "All right." Spring sorted out a detailed explanation of the swordsmanship and sent it to the point store with a price of 500 points. Other than Naruto and Afei, who had the highest authority and treated points like H*T, the only other person who could afford it was the little rich lady, Little Gunny. She had bought it almost as soon as the detailed explanation of swordsmanship was released to the shop in the spring. He began to read it in high spirits. In the beginning, he was just watching for fun, but as he watched, he became engrossed. With the help of the system, the information appeared directly in his mind, so he could read it very quickly. After reading all the information, Little Gunny ran to Spring and jumped onto her. "Sister Spring, swordsmanship is so interesting. Teach me how to use swordsmanship." Little Gunny wants to practice swordsmanship? Naruto soon noticed the swordsmanship explanation book that had been released to the point store in spring. After exchanging, he flipped through the books. With Naruto's reading speed, Little Gunny finished reading almost instantly and formed a memory in his mind. Naruto recently had a new understanding of the existence of the memory body. It seems that another memory space opened in his mind, and it's likely to be the egg that came out of his soul. Because when the egg separated from his soul, Naruto entered the memory space again and saw a snow-white ball of light. The light on the ball of light was very gentle, and there was a pair of closed eyes on it as if it was sleeping. "Sister Spring, is it really okay for you to publish all your swordsmanship?" Spring said helplessly, "I have no choice. I don't have any points." When it came to points, it was not that Naruto was stingy. Points were equivalent to currency in the spiritual network. Since it was a currency, the circulation had to be strictly controlled. If the total value of the currency was greater than the actual value of the goods, it would cause inflation. When the supply of goods exceeded the demand, it would cause the currency to depreciate. Similarly, if the total value of the currency was less than the actual value of the goods, it would cause deflation. When the supply of goods exceeded the demand, it would cause the value of the goods to depreciate. Whether it was currency depreciation or commodity depreciation, it was not a healthy market. Therefore, Naruto could not use his authority to give everyone a large amount of points. Naruto chuckled and sent the relationship between currency and goods to everyone. Haru Sakuratani was surprised. Is this what they mean by, "the rarer something is, the more valuable it is"? Naruto nodded. "But Sister Spring, I think that if you want to distribute the swordsmanship explanation, it's best to distribute it in two parts. Give one to the basic and intermediate parts, and give one to the advanced parts. At the same time, limit the first part to 3-star ID cards for 500 points, and the second to 3-star ID cards for 1,500 points or 4-star ID cards for 500 points. Of course, at this stage, apart from the super administrator, only Little Gunny could afford it. After Spring released the swordsmanship explanation, Spring did not waste her time. Xia didn't stay idle either. She began to sort out her pastry-making techniques. This time, Nine-Tails was happy and bought them one by one. By the way, Nine-Tails was also a rich man. Unlike Naruto, who had the authority, although Nine-Tails' account was established under Naruto's account, it was an independent sub-account. The points operating platform was independent. To put it simply, Nine-Tails' authority was equivalent to a 4-star card. As for Nine-Tails' points, he only needed to contribute chakra to get them. For Nine-Tails, it was simple. There were sales and purchases, currency circulation, and the economic system of the spiritual network came alive. While Haru Sakuratani and Natsuya Sakuragi were playing happily, Hinata pouted and thought about how she could earn points. In the end, Hinata gritted her teeth and sold the Hyuga clan's taijutsu, Gentle Fist 8 trigrams palm, for 500 points. As one could imagine, Naruto almost spat out the moment he saw it. Then, like the empty wall palm, the human body meridians, one after another. After Naruto bought all of them and stored them in his memory, he asked uncertainly, "Hinata, is it okay to sell these?" Hinata said casually, "So what if it's a problem? I'm short of points." Okay. After Hinata exchanged the points, she first bought the curse dictionary. Hinata tried it. As long as the thought was set, the relevant curse interpretation would appear in her mind, and many problems that she did not understand in the past gradually became clear. After that, Hinata also exchanged for a plant dictionary. This way, even if medical ninjutsu did not improve, her survival skills would definitely be excellent. Then, it was Natsuya Sakuraji's pastry cooking method. She always remembered that Naruto liked to eat Natsuya Sakuraji's pastry. As for She-Wolf, although she was cheated by Little Gunny, she had to say that it was a blessing for her, otherwise, she really didn't know what to exchange for points. This girl was also decisive. When Naruto said that he wanted to divide the swordsmanship book into 2 books, she resolutely bought it. After reading it, there was only one word: worth it. But, in this case, she would need a sword or a ninja sword. There were ninja swords for sale in the points shop, and the standard one was not expensive, but her points had been reset to 0. Moreover, she didn't want the standard one. She wanted a custom-made one, a sword that could be repaired. After seeing Naruto's azure sleeve sword, she had always been greedy. What should she do? Save money to save points? Or, She-Wolf couldn't help but look at Little Gunny. Should she ask this girl for more points? After all, there were plenty of lice. As for the mission of washing Big Gunny's feet, no matter how she looked at it, she would not be able to defeat Big Gunny. She had seen Big Gunny's magnetic release before, and if she fought against Big Gunny, she would probably be buried alive. Chapter 297. After the upgrade of the spiritual network was completed, Wolf Girl and Hinata left first. Haru Sakuratani and Natsuya Sakuraji stayed at the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute until sunset before returning to Woodleaf. Haru's reason was that the newly opened ninja store needed her, while Xia's reason was that the cake shop couldn't do without her. However, Naruto could tell that the two of them were hiding from the store manager and Kanon Chiba, who were also in the snow country. Coincidentally, Naruto was also hiding from the father and daughter pair. It wasn't that he didn't trust them and was afraid that they would leak the information. Well, the main thing was that he was afraid that they would leak the information that he was still alive. In Naruto's opinion, the less people who knew about this, the better. Ding dong. A small voice sounded in the conference room on the 9th floor. Snow Queen requests a video call. Naruto's mind moved and answered the call. Then the talisman formation on the ground lit up, and a 3-dimensional projection of Kazuka Kono appeared in front of Naruto. At the same time, an invisible dark projection appeared in the study of Kazuka Kono's bedroom. This dark mass was Naruto. "What is it, Sister Blizzard?" Blizzard's expression was serious. "The celebrity that we signed a contract with, Kanon Chiba, already knows that you're in the Great Snow Mountain. I'm guessing that she'll go look for you." If the rats of the snow country were still alive, Naruto wouldn't be surprised by this news. However, now that the local rats of the snow country had been uprooted, there was no reason for this news to leak. Furthermore, ever since the upgrade of the spiritual network, he hadn't had direct contact with Blizzard for a month. Therefore, there was no reason for him to suddenly be exposed. Could it be those two sisters? Naruto's mouth twitched, and his consciousness connected to the spiritual network. He asked the Sakuragi sisters, "You didn't tell your sister about me, did you?" Summer said obediently, "No, but I found that she was rushing to where you were." Naruto's face twitched. "So you ran away?" Summer giggled embarrassedly. Naruto's liver suddenly hurt. Originally, Xia's perception could not extend out, but with the 4-star authority, it was no longer a problem. "By the way, The other party will agree if I take out the 2 mercenary recommendation letters you left behind, right? Xia replied obediently, yes. After all, he is only a 1-star mercenary. They have no reason to reject my orders. Naruto nodded. That's good. Naruto had already decided to defeat Hinata's current captain and then bring Hinata to join another mercenary group. The call with Natsuya Sakuragi lasted only a moment. Naruto said to Windy Snow, "Okay, I got it. I'll be careful." Fenghua Xiao Shui nodded, and then said worriedly, "I think she'll come to find you tomorrow." You don't have to meet her, but don't kill her. I think that little girl is pretty good. Naruto rolled his eyes. How could that girl be killed just because he wanted to? Also, that girl was not coming back tomorrow. She was already on her way here. Fenghua Xiao Shui's understanding of Canon Chiba was limited to that of a celebrity. At the same time, Naruto did not mention their relationship. Naruto replied helplessly, "I know. After all, she's our partner." The call ended. It was worth mentioning that Naruto had also prepared an identity card for Fenghua Xiao Shui. It was a 1-star identity card. Upgrading it required completing missions. Simply put, any material support the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute needed would be issued through missions. However, the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute suppliers were not only the royal family of the Snow Country represented by Fenghua Xiao Shui. There were also the rich businessmen who had originally wanted the virtual reality movie technology. After ending the call with Fenghua Xiao Shui, Naruto called up the Great Snow Mountain security system. At the same time, a panoramic map of the Great Snow Mountain was projected in the conference room. Expand the perception barrier. A command was issued. On the panoramic map of the Great Snow Mountain, a net-like sphere formed by red lines expanded. At the same time, the originally empty map showed real-time changing details. Even the scene of the wind blowing through the trees was restored to its original state. The expansion continued. 1 kilometer outside the foot of the Great Snow Mountain, 2 kilometers. The system beeped, warning. Energy flow level 1 alert has been reached. If the perception barrier continues to expand, it will affect the normal operation of the spiritual network. 2 kilometers was not a long distance, but this was the expansion of the Great Snow Mountain's original area. The Great Snow Mountain was 2 kilometers above sea level. Its original area was 50 square kilometers, which was 50 square kilometers. Naruto communicated with Nine Tails telepathically, "Teacher Nine Llamas, it's time for you to go on stage." In the equivalent exchange system, Nine Tails could not wait for Naruto to use his chakra. This way he would gain more points. Nine Tails directly injected chakra into the perception barrier through the spiritual network. The system beeped, new energy supply chain route obtained. Recalculating level 1 alert. Under the supply of chakra from Nine Tails, the perception barrier began to expand rapidly. 20 kilometers from the foot of the mountain, Canon Chiba's image appeared on the map. Then what? Fight back. Naruto was quite curious about Canon Chiba's strength. However, Naruto shook his head. The perception barrier shrank and returned to its lowest power consumption. If he kept dodging, it would only make the other party more curious. So, Naruto decided to change his method. Mentally linking to the public chat area, Naruto shouted, "Gurney, if someone comes to visit later, go and greet them." Gurney replied, "I'm taking a shower. Get someone else." Shower? Okay. What about Big Gurney? Big Gurney was relatively more reliable. He immediately replied, "Okay." Gurney shouted, "You want to go? If you go, we'll be missing one person." "What do you mean by missing one person?" Little Gurney said, "Do you want a pair of threes? If not, I'll do it." Naruto's face darkened. Take a shower? These guys were obviously playing poker. Gurney was so agitated that he forgot that he was in the public chat area. He shouted, "You want to run away with a pair of threes? Are you dreaming?" Naruto opened the management panel. He selected Member Gurney and chose punishment. Electric shock. Strength 1. BZZT. Gurney twitched. Woo woo woo. 2 minutes later, Gurney put on his clothes and came out to await his orders. If Canon Chiba comes, tell her that you're the one who came up with the virtual reality movie. Also, don't let her enter the headquarters. Meet her in the disguised laboratory in front of the corridor. Gurney nodded obediently. Then, Naruto gave a few more instructions to the others. Finally, he said to Hinata, "Hinata, summon me to your place." Hinata was stunned. She asked blankly, "Now?" The sun set in the west and night fell. The small town on the outskirts of the Fire Nation was dyed orange. Meanwhile, in a hotel, a young girl's heart was pounding. The girl's hair was still a little wet and the water vapor on her body had not dissipated. Naruto said, "Yes now. I was planning to do it tomorrow, but something happened here." Chapter 298. The next day, Tion had just woken up. On the messy bed, Hinata woke up. She got out of bed in a daze and planned to lie down in the toilet. However, when she stepped on it, what was that meaty thing? As soon as she lowered her head, she saw Naruto. Was she dreaming? It wasn't a dream. Hinata woke up and remembered that Naruto slept in the same room as her yesterday. At the same time, Naruto was also looking at her. Originally, Naruto hadn't woken up yet, but this step on his stomach was enough to make him suffer. "Good morning." Naruto greeted her. Hinata's face turned red. She kicked hard on Naruto's stomach and got back into the quilt. Then, she covered her head and body tightly in the quilt and didn't come out. As for Naruto, Hinata's foot almost made him roll his eyes. He felt suffocated for a moment and almost suffocated. When he finally caught his breath, Naruto suddenly wanted to slap this girl's butt. However, when he saw the big bun wrapped in the quilt rolling on the bed, he couldn't help but laugh. Naruto poked the big bun under the quilt. "Come out. Don't suffocate." Hinata was too embarrassed to face anyone. She didn't respond to Naruto's question at all. Naruto poked again. "We didn't do anything last night. What are you shy about?" Hinata wrapped the quilt tighter. Naruto patted the big bun. "Come on. Don't fart and suffocate yourself." Hinata was unyielding. She replied in a muffled voice under the quilt, "You are the one who will suffocate yourself." A small foot stretched out of the big bun and kicked Naruto. Naruto dodged nimbly. He continued, "Come out quickly. You will really fart if you are suffocated for too long." Hinata suddenly wanted to bite Naruto to death. She replied in a muffled voice under the quilt, "Go ahead. I won't fart." "Don't know how to fart?" Naruto reached into his pocket and took out a storage scroll. Then, he took out a piece of fart candy. Should he give one to Hinata? There were 3 flavors on her body: strawberry, durian, and apple. He narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Come out quickly. You'll really fart if you hold it in." Hinata's head was facing down on the bed. She didn't roll her eyes, so she didn't know what Naruto was planning. He replied with certainty, "No." Naruto held the 3 candies in his left hand while his right index finger started from the durian-flavored candy. He muttered to himself, "I'll choose whoever the little rooster chooses." Durian-flavored. Naruto chuckled and said, "Are you really not coming out? Don't blame me for not reminding you if you fart to death later." Hinata replied in a muffled voice under the quilt, "Go away." Then, shadow clone technique. Bang! A clone appeared in front of Naruto. Naruto threw the durian-flavored fart candy into the clone's mouth. The clone instantly turned golden. Naruto took out the bottle containing the antidote and poured it out. There was only 1 pill. Hiss! Naruto sucked in a breath of cold air. If there was only 1 antidote, Hinata would run out of antidotes in a while. Should he continue to tease Hinata? The clone had already eaten the durian-flavored fart candy. He was unwilling to give up now. Most importantly, it didn't suit his personality. Do it. Naruto raised his head and ate the antidote. The antidote melted in his mouth. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second. It worked. Naruto took a few steps back and gave the clone a look. The clone walked in front of Hinata. Bang! With a sound, the antidote was removed. Golden smoke instantly sprayed out and filled the room. Naruto sat quietly at the side and waited. The golden smoke landed on the quilt, and the quilt turned golden. 30 seconds. Pooh! An almost undetectable sound was heard. The round rolling quilt bag obviously froze. However, Hinata didn't say anything. Naruto saw the scene in front of him. He sat in the corner and covered his mouth to laugh. Fart candy was a kind of candy that, once contaminated, would produce a lot of gas in the intestines. Moreover, as time passed, more gas would be produced. The duration was a despairing 1 hour. Boo! The sound was slightly louder than the first sound. Hinata, who was under the quilt, was dumbfounded. How could this be? Could it be that it was really like what Naruto said, that it was easy to fart after being under the quilt for too long? Hinata's face was red and hot. What should she do? She didn't want to be suffocated by her fart. Hinata mustered up her courage and said to Naruto, "Go out for a while, I'll change my clothes." Naruto covered his mouth and laughed. He didn't reply to Hinata. Naruto left. Hinata relaxed. However, it didn't matter when she relaxed. A loud fart came out. The whole quilt was blown up by the gas. The strong smell of durian rushed into her nose. It stinks. Hinata's eyes rolled and she fainted from the smell. At this time, the key to the door suddenly turned, and a woman in a fiery red dress walked in. Someone came? Who? How could there be a key? Naruto was squatting in the direction of the door. There was something blocking the door. Therefore, the person who came in from the outside couldn't see that there was another person in the room. The person walked in. Naruto activated the perception barrier. Under the perception barrier, Naruto saw the person's appearance. She was wearing a fiery red dress, with a hairstyle and an oval face. She was a beauty. The woman walked to the bedside and smiled. 006. Get up quickly. It's time to cultivate. 006 Naruto knew that was Hinata's codename in the mercenary guild because Hinata was the 6th person. So, this person was the guild leader? Naruto remembered that Hinata said that only the guild leader didn't wear a mask. Tesuke. This is interesting. 4, 3, 2, 1. Naruto counted with his fingers. 0, 5, 0, 25. Why hasn't it taken effect yet? Just as Naruto was puzzled, a bu sound came. The woman's expression froze. She subconsciously looked around and seemed to be relieved. But then another sound came. The woman's face turned red. She was about to go to Hinata's quilt. A third sound came. The woman was embarrassed, and her hand froze in mid-air. 006, if you want to sleep, then sleep a little longer. I'll wake you up later. As she spoke, she couldn't help but let out another fart. The woman immediately ran away dejectedly. Pfft. Naruto couldn't help but laugh. After the woman left, Naruto called Hinata and comforted her. It's okay, it's just farting. Don't be shy and come out of the quilt. Let me tell you, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Shizune were also like this before. However, there was still no response from the quilt. Naruto pinched his nose and went to pull the quilt. After the quilt was pulled open, the smell of durian almost made Naruto fall down even though he was pinching his nose. As for Hinata, she actually fainted from the smell of her own fart. Amazing, my Hinata. At this time, a bu sound suddenly came. It wasn't Hinata. It was a fat rat that crawled out from under the bed. It was furry and farted every 2 steps. Naruto laughed. He was scared just now, and he thought he was the one who fell for it. It seemed to be an illusion. But then the sound came again. This time, it wasn't Hinata, nor was it a rat that ran away. It was Naruto. This was just a coincidence. He took the antidote. The third sound couldn't be an illusion no matter what. But he clearly took the antidote. The only explanation was, someone tampered with his antidote. Who would do such a stupid thing? Naruto gritted his teeth and said, Shizen, don't let me see you again. Apart from Shizen, Naruto couldn't think of anyone else who would secretly take his antidote. Hinata woke up on the bed and looked at Naruto foolishly. The two of them said, Pooh. Hinata's eyes widened, and she blushed and asked foolishly, Naruto, why are you farting too? Naruto opened his eyes and said, maybe I've been infected by you. At the same time, in the toilet next door, the female president sat on the toilet with her hands on her cheeks and farted one after another. 006. Just you wait. How dare you trick me? Chapter 299. Hinata was unhappy. Hinata was angry. After the two of them let out, several times, even if Hinata's reaction was half a beat slower, she could still sense that something was wrong. She immediately bit Naruto's arm. Naruto was in so much pain that he grimaced. However, as a professional at courting death, Naruto was already prepared to bear the consequences. Come on, if you use more strength, my flesh will be bitten off. Hinata wanted to bite for a while more, but when she heard Naruto's encouragement, she rolled her eyes and was too lazy to bite anymore. Are you angry? Naruto sat next to Hinata. Hinata pouted and moved to the side, looking disgusted with Naruto. Naruto went to the windowsill and opened the window for ventilation. The smell of durian was too unpleasant. This medicine will take an hour to take effect. Hinata's eyes widened after hearing that, and she pounced over with bared fangs and claws. She wanted to bite off a piece of flesh from Naruto's body. Naruto grabbed Hinata's tiger claws. If I make the antidote, it will be gone in 5 minutes. Hinata retracted her hand and pouted. Really? Don't lie to me. Naruto promised, it's more real than real gold. As long as you forgive me, I will make the antidote immediately. If you don't forgive me, then let's go through this together for an hour. Hinata rolled her beautiful eyes and said in disdain, who wants to go through this with you? Naruto coaxed, so you forgive me. Hinata shook the quilt and then buried her head under the quilt. Well, her butt was exposed and she continued to release the poison gas. She replied in a muffled voice, hurry up and make the antidote, or I will ignore you forever. What nonsense! It was so infuriating. Naruto began to prepare the antidote. The durian smell in the air was too pungent. Naruto found a mask and put it on. At this moment, the door opened again. Hinata heard the door open and rolled her eyes to look at the door. Then, he picked up the mask beside his pillow and put it on. The person who had come was none other than the president who had come once before. Naruto did not dodge and continued to concentrate on concocting the antidote. At this time, Naruto's golden hair fluttered in the wind, and a large mask covered half of her face. At first glance, she was definitely a cute girl. The president walked into the room. He wanted to question Hinata, but when he saw that there were other people around, he subconsciously wanted to slip away. Because she was still doing that, it was really too indecent. It was too embarrassing to be seen by others. However, when he saw Naruto concocting something with herbs and bottles, he stopped in his tracks. This was Naruto's voice. This be you, sounded as if he was saying that she was one of his own. In an instant, the distance between Naruto and the president was pulled closer. The original embarrassment also faded a little. After all, everyone had been tricked. But this matter still had to be properly discussed. The president looked at Hinata and asked, can you tell me what's going on? Boo, The president but made a sound. Hinata was a little surprised. The president had also been tricked? It seemed that, she vaguely remembered, that the president had indeed come to wake her up. Hinata glared at Naruto through the mask and explained, I'm really sorry to have caused you trouble. Just now, I accidentally broke a kind of medicine. My friend is concocting the antidote. Naruto was slightly stunned. She put the blame on him? And then let him play the good guy? This Hinata seemed to have matured a lot. Coupled with the cold voice change on Hinata's mask, Naruto felt that Hinata seemed to have changed into a different person. Naruto's heart throbbed a little more. He sent a private message through the mental network, My wife Hinata, you're really too nice. Under the mask, Hinata blushed and replied with a humph in the mental network. When the president heard that Naruto was concocting the antidote, he became interested and asked, Your friend knows about medicine? Hinata nodded as a sign of agreement. Naruto sped up his movements. 3 minutes later, 3 portions of medicine were concocted. Naruto set an example and drank it first. 1 minute after drinking it, the frequency of bu decreased significantly. 2 minutes later, it only came once every 30 seconds. It's done. Naruto handed the medicine to Hinata and the red-hot female president. The president heard Naruto's voice and said in surprise, You're a man. Naruto said with certainty, A man. The president took the medicine, but didn't drink it. He was a little hesitant. Hinata handed over hers. Do you want to exchange? The reason why he didn't drink a stranger's medicine was because he didn't trust him enough. The guild master smiled and drank the potion in his hand. The 3 of them drank the medicine. 1 minute later, the frequency decreased, and 5 minutes later, the medicine finally returned to normal. The 2 girls heaved a sigh of relief. This kind of thing was really too embarrassing. The president thanked Naruto. Thank you, otherwise I might be too embarrassed to even leave the house today. Naruto laughed. He was a little embarrassed. After all, he was the culprit. However, this wasn't the time to apologize. Hinata took the blame for him and then let him play the good guy. The meaning was obvious, it was to try to get some good impressions. This way, he might have a chance to join this mercenary guild. The president thought for a while and looked at Hinata. I remember you asked me if there was a special case for men to join our guild. Hinata, who was wearing a clown mask, nodded and admitted. It was because of him. The president lit a cigarette. He didn't use a lighter, but a flame floating on his finger. You know how to make medicine, then do you know medical ninjutsu? There was a chance? If there was a chance, Naruto was too lazy to bother. He replied, yes. He thought for a while and added, and I'm quite good at it. The president looked at Naruto. Naruto was 1.7 tall, which was not short. However, the president's height was already 1.75 and he was wearing a pair of high heels that were definitely more than 10 centimeters. Therefore, from the president's perspective, he was looking down at Naruto. Naruto had to look up to him to see him. This made his liver hurt. After a while, the president shook his head. It's a pity. If you were really a girl, I would be happy to welcome you to join. Still not enough. Okay, if it's not enough, then it's not enough. Naruto sighed. Although I don't know why you set such a strange rule, but I came today prepared to be rejected. If I can't join, I'll take her away. The president looked at Naruto, his deep eyes seemed to be able to swallow the light. Joining a mercenary guild is not a game. I hope you know what you're talking about. Naruto calmly looked at the threatening eyes. If I defeat you, I can take her away, right? The president frowned and looked at Naruto curiously. He sighed and said, This is a very old rule, so old that almost no one uses this rule, but it's quite interesting. I agree, but do you know that there's a potential condition for this rule? Other condition? Naruto sent a private message to Xia. Sister Xia, Is there any other condition for the rule that if you defeat the other party, you can take the person away? Xia quickly replied, Is there? I don't remember. If Xia didn't remember, Naruto wouldn't know. He replied, I'm not sure. The president smiled. Only one person can survive this battle. Ah! Naruto passed on this sentence to Xia verbatim. Xia thought for a while and shook his head. I don't remember such a rule. Xia's experience was obviously much higher than this president's. If Xia didn't remember, then it was very likely that the other party was teasing him. Just as Naruto was about to breathe a sigh of relief and expose the other party, Xia replied, But when I used to recruit people from other guilds, I would just kill the president. Naruto instantly cursed. Chapter 300. After asking a few questions, Naruto understood. In order to ensure the independence of each mercenary guild and avoid the situation of a monopoly, the rules of the Underground Exchange stated that once an organization had its own organization, it was not allowed to withdraw before the organization was destroyed. And the so-called withdrawal meant the destruction of the original organization. At the same time, because of the rule of challenging the guild leader, it limited the gathering of guild leaders. Of course, there was still a way to gather, which was to kill all the members of the group. But then the value of the guild leader would depreciate. But these were all old rules. Today's Underground Exchange was divided into regions, which meant that above the mercenary guild, there were also people who led the guild. Outside the town, in a quiet place across the forest, the female guild leader said with a cigarette in her mouth, Well, it's useless to ask so many questions, let's start. Naruto was a little conflicted. He never hesitated to kill people. Those who wanted to harm him, Naruto would not even give a chance to talk nonsense, but in front of him, there was no hatred, but he killed people. This was a little crazy. Not to mention, the person in front of him had taught Hinata for a period of time before. The relationship between the other party and Hinata was obviously not like Orochimaru and Sasuke. There was no need for him to kill his master. Since it's the old rules, it's not suitable to use it now, why don't we change it? Let's determine the winner. The female guild leader took a puff of the cigarette. Okay, if you have the ability, then defeat me. Agreed? It seemed that the other party was quite easy to talk to. However, the next moment, when the female guild leader spat out the cigarette, she mocked, But I will make my move with the purpose of killing you. The corner of Naruto's mouth twitched. Overcautious in a battle to the death? Then if he really did that, he would not be far from death. Ming Ran waved her hand and said dejectedly, Okay, I didn't say anything, I will do my best, you be careful. Naruto set a rule for himself this time. In order to not expose his identity, he must not use his previous moves. For example, the green sleeve sword, Rasengan, and monstrous strength. These moves were too unique. It was fine when they were unknown, but once they became famous and spread out, it was only a matter of time before their identity was exposed. Therefore, in order to truly conceal his identity, he completely transformed himself into another person. Naruto decided that except for medical ninjutsu, he wouldn't use any other chakra attributes that he had used before. He didn't know how to use wind escape, water escape, or ice escape. Once he used it, he would have to leave the underground market and quit being a mercenary. Thus, Naruto could only choose between fire escape and earth escape. Naruto hadn't started practicing the fire style yet, so he could only use the earth style. The female president breathed out smoke, and the smoke condensed together. There was no sign of hand seals, but the next moment, it turned into the appearance of the female president. A special clone technique. Naruto didn't dare to underestimate it. Earth escape, reflected fish in earth technique. This was what Naruto got from Yakushi's pocket, and it was the only earth release ninjutsu that Naruto had mastered. Activating the ninjutsu, Naruto's body escaped into the earth, and the smoke condensed into an empty space. But what made Naruto angry was that the smoke clone didn't find a way to find him, but rushed to Hinata. Naruto shook chakra, using chakra to shake the air, so that the sound came from all directions to the female president's ears. Hey! Your opponent is me. What are you doing to Chick? Zero. So close, he almost called out Hinata's name. If the other party knew Hinata's name, then this game wouldn't continue, and he would kill the other party. Since this girl wants to leave with you, she's no longer a member of our guild. She's a traitor. Do you need any other reason to attack her? The female guild leader said with a smile while keeping her guard up against her surroundings. The female president's reply made Naruto speechless. After all, what she said made sense. He could only sigh helplessly. Well, it seems that I have to end this quickly. A pair of yellow hands made of mud appeared under the female president's feet and grabbed her feet. It was silent and fast. However, the other party was obviously a veteran, and his spirit sense was extremely weak. Before Naruto could succeed, he jumped out. At the same time, he turned around and spat out smoke. Then there was an explosion. Smoke that can explode? The hands that stretched out from the ground were blown to pieces. Naruto was glad that he didn't go under the other party. Even if this level of explosion didn't kill him, it was enough to make him suffer. Wait, if the smoke can explode, then the smoke clone. In the spirit network, Naruto reminded Hinata, "Be careful of that smoke clone, don't get close to it, that smoke clone might explode." Hearing Naruto's words, Hinata hurriedly pulled away. The smoke clone didn't explode. Could it not explode? Or could it explode? What's the reason it didn't explode? Was it to hide and ambush him? Or was it that although the other party said that he wanted to kill the traitor, in fact, he didn't intend to kill Hinata? Naruto's thoughts were jumping around, and his movements weren't slow either. He quietly approached from underground. The system's perception barrier had been activated, and the female president was marked as an enemy by Naruto. It was almost impossible for her to lose him. At the same time, the perception barrier was also monitoring Chakra's movements. As long as it was a ninjutsu, it couldn't escape his perception. Earth release, earth spike attack. This wasn't a single ninjutsu, because it was the same as when Naruto controlled ice release. Chakra directly changed form to attack. Hundreds of earthy yellow thorn-like earth spikes appeared under the female president's feet. Because it wasn't a fixed ninjutsu, the earth spikes didn't have a fixed shape. Under Naruto's control, more earth spikes appeared on top of the earth spikes, chasing after her. The president dodged again and again. Under Naruto's control, the earth spikes surrounded 3 of them. But at the same time, several more earth spikes appeared at the same time as the female president dodged the earth spikes. Naruto's figure was hidden in one of the earth spikes. Naruto found that when he merged with the earth spikes, he moved faster in the earth. Then he saw a spike sticking out of the ground and then plunging back into the ground. It was like a strange scene of a fish swimming in a river. The earth spikes kept coming, and the sound of explosions kept coming. The 2 sides fought several times, and Naruto was having fun. Defeat the opponent? No. Naruto suddenly had a new idea. He wanted to exhaust the opponent. With the spiritual network, even if he didn't use Nine-Tails chakra, Naruto's chakra could be said to be endless. Because the device that made chakra on the Great Snow Mountain was working all the time. As long as he didn't use chakra all at once, little by little, he could play until the end of time, until the seas dried up and the rocks rotted, and there was also the earth rotation. Not to mention, he had a lot of chakra himself. Naruto smiled slightly. This trick was reliable, and it worked. As a result, the earth waves began to churn happily. Each wave was stronger than the previous one, a wave in a wave. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.